Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of AVA or Articles of Vaishnava Acharyas. This is episode 7, and we're continuing with our study of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's conversation with a Moulvi, an Islamic scholar. This is a three-part series, and it was published in the Harmonist magazine of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura in the year 1931. And we have completed the two parts, and today is the last and the third part. So we will say our Mangalacharan prayers and then we will start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, welcome back to this episode, to this series of a mini series, actually, part of the bigger series of AVA or Articles of Vaishnava Acharyas. So, this three-part series is about Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's conversation with a Maulvi, an Islamic scholar, and it is no less than a masterpiece of interfaith dialogue, how to conduct an interfaith dialogue and how to not compromise in such an interfaith dialogue, and actually coming from a place of wanting to help the other person understand the highest truths of religion and religious life, well, knowing well that the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, as enunciated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is the pinnacle of all religious study. So we all have to learn from this mood and from the actual presentation, and also take notes of the exact verses that were quoted here in this conversation, so that we can better equip ourselves to handle a dialogue with an Islamic scholar or anyone of the like, and also to have a general understanding of how religious principles come forth from the same source, Krishna. According to time, place, and circumstance, he either comes himself or sends his representatives, and therefore there should not be any contradiction ultimately between any religious forms. The seeming contradictions are either because of a misrepresentation of such a religion, or because such religion has, or such religious systems have instructions which are meant for a different class of population, who are at a different stage of their spiritual evolution. So, keeping all this in mind, let's continue with this conversation. This is the last part of that conversation. So, I think this first paragraph at which it starts continues from the last paragraph of the previous part. So we will just go there in the last part and then come back here. Okay, so here is where we have stopped this part. And by the way, this this quote we have seen the previous week that second chapter 136 or 86, I think, maybe 36. So it has been laid down that Islamic baptism requires a belief in all the prophets of the world. So we have seen that verse. But this verse we have not actually seen in the Quran.com. I mean, I did not go there and actually cross-reference this text, the one that was quoted before. It says that though prophets appear at different times in different places, yet one does not come to annul the teachings of another. Nay, one practically preaches the doctrine of those that went before him and will come after him. Thus, in Ampara, in Surah Baina, we get two ayats. So these 2 and 3. So this we have not cross-referenced in the Quran.com because I could not understand what is Ampara Surah Baina. So I did a little bit of search or research into that. This happens to be the 98th chapter of the Quran. And apparently 37 chapters in the middle of the Quran, they are called Ampara for whatever reason. I do not know very much. So it is part of that. So this is actually in the Quran. It is from there are 114 chapters in the Quran, and this is from the 98th chapter, and there are only I think 8 verses in that chapter, and these happens to be the second and third verses. So here is the verse. Yeah, Al Bayina, as you can see here, 98 Al Bayina. So the spelling is like that here. So number 2, a messenger from Allah reciting scrolls of utmost purity. You can see number 98.2 there. A messenger from Allah reciting scrolls of utmost purity containing upright commandments. So the disbelievers, this is the first, I think, let's see how many verses are there. Yeah, 8 verses in this chapter. The disbelievers from the people of the book and the polytheists were not going to desist from disbelief until the clear proof came to them. A messenger from Allah reciting scrolls of utmost purity containing upright commandments. So, this is the quotes that were quoted. So, in this way, we have to understand. So, any scripture or scrolls means holy documents. In our translation here in this article, they were translated as, if you can see here. Oh yeah. He who is sent by Godhead, the messenger of Allah, okay, recites all the holy documents where there are firm truths, upright commandments. In that other, here it is said, a messenger from Allah reciting scrolls of utmost purity containing upright commandments. So, unless actually what this says is the disbelievers from the people of the book and polytheists were not going to desist from disbelief until the clear proof came to them. So, materialistic people, they will not believe in Krishna, and they're going to have all kinds of different understanding. Like in India now, people think Hindu religion is polytheism, like having many gods, which is not true. So such people exist because of a lack of proper understanding of the Shastra, and their understanding can be set right if the messenger from Allah messenger from Allah, that means an acharya from the abode of Krishna. He teaches the scriptures of utmost purity. Jnanam, what is that? 438. 438. नहि ज्ञानेन सदृशं पवित्रमिह विद्यते तत् स्वयं योग संसिद्धः कालेन आत्मनि विन्दति. In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. So there is nothing in this world so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. So that is what is being referred to here. Messenger from Allah reciting scrolls of utmost purity, or reciting scriptures of utmost purity containing upright commandments. And the way it is translated in our article is the messenger of Godhead. He who is sent by Godhead recites all the holy documents where there are firm truths. So that is a reference for that. So the rest we have read. So here, and this is a very powerful paragraph that we read the other day. Evidently, you do not sufficiently respect your prophet if you dishonor others. You dishonor the Quran if you dishonor the Bible or the Bhagavat. All his prophets, all are his prophets and all are his books. This is very powerful. Powerful argument. So, okay, going here. Christ not only designates himself as the Son of God, but designates all as such. If you love God as Father, you must love all as your brothers. If you love Him as the Creator, you must love all that are created by Him. If you love Him as the Lord, you must love all as His servants. Certainly, the love shown to Him as Father is much intenser than all the rest. So, this love where Krishna is the Father or God is the Father, with the understanding that God is the Father, is intenser than any other love or so-called lust found in this world, or any relationship found in this world, affection. Now, higher than that is what is the continuation of today's topic from the last one. Again, the Vedic sonhood conception of Godhead stages love on a still higher pedestal. So, to consider God as Father is intense love, is one of the platforms of ecstasy, dāsa. But higher than that, the Vedic sonhood conception of Godhead, Vatsalyaras, stages love on a still higher pedestal. In all the stages enumerated above, love is controlled by fear of punishment and hope of reward. So this is where many religions stand at. There is punishment and there's reward, and then because of those things, we abide by the words of the scripture. So many, in fact, in our scriptures also these are there. In the beginning, that is the motivating factor. But later on, Krishna becomes the only motivating factor. Like today, there was a quote shared in one of the groups, I think, WhatsApp groups, where Śrīla Prabhupada says very nicely. One second. So, Prabhupada says, it's a letter to someone. He says, you also write to say, please take this body as a tool and utilize it to spread this holy mission. Your body is already sold to Krishna. Therefore, you should be engaged to pick up some service and render it to Krishna. We are all sold to Krishna and we have no other business but his service. That should be our determination. We are all sold to Krishna and we have no other business but his service. That should be our determination. So, only for the sake of Krishna. That's the determination. There's nothing. There's no other activity, no other sense gratification, nothing. And also not performing religious activities so that our sense gratification is protected and so that we don't get punished and our sense gratification stifled consequently. So those should not be the motivations. That is a very materialistic motivation. That's in the neophyte stage or pious stage, not pure devotion. So, in all stages enumerated above, love is controlled by fear of punishment and hope of reward. If you do not do what you are commanded to do, then you are thrown into the hell of dojak. And if you do what you are commanded to do, then you are raised to the heaven or behest. In the hell, the unbelievers, along with the stones, are made the fuel of the fire. Chapter 2, text 24, Quran. In the heaven, the believers will have gardens abounding in beautiful rivers and young girls for their wives. Chapter 2, text 25, 24 and 25 of chapter 2 of the Quran. So basically, if you go to hell, you will be the fuel of the fire. Then basically, you will be burned alive. And in the heaven, you'll have beautiful gardens and young girls to enjoy. Well, this is also um, the description of our Vedas. The heaven has all these apsaras and Nandanakanal gardens and everything. So, and hell has, being burnt alive and all these things are there in hell. So, it's true. And those who don't believe, they will go there. And those who believe, they will become, you know, advanced or they progress to higher planets. But of course, the devotees who are complete pure devotees, they go to Vaikuntha. They don't go to heavenly planets where they enjoy beautiful girls and or they don't go to punishment in the hellish planets where they're burnt alive. And therefore, King Kulashekar prays in the Mukundamala Stotra. नाहं वन्दे तव चरणयोर्द्वन्द्वमद्वन्द्वहेतो कुम्भीपाकं गुरुमपि हरे नारकं नापनेतुं रम्या रामा मृदुतनुलता नन्दनेनापि रन्तुं भावे भावे हृदय भवने भावयेयं भवन्तम्. You see, कुम्भीपाकं गुरुमपि हरे नारकं नापनेतुं रम्या रामा मृदुतनुलता नन्दनेनापि रन्तुं भावे भावे हृदय भवने भावयेयं भवन्तम्. It's a very beautiful verse. O Lord Hari, it is not to be saved from the dualities of material existence or the grim tribulations of the Kumbhipaka hell that I pray to your lotus feet. So Kumbhipaka is where one is boiled in the oil, alive, and extreme temperatures. And one is burnt, as fuel in the fire, as I said. So this kind of punishment. King Kulashekar says, I am not praying to you to save myself from the Kumbhipaka hell. Nor is my purpose to enjoy the soft-skinned, beautiful women who reside in the gardens of heaven. No, I'm not interested even in that. That's not the reason why I pray to you, to get those heavenly planets and heavenly delights. No, I pray to your lotus feet only so that I may remember you alone in the core of my heart, birth after birth. So the prayer is just for Krishna, and that's it. There is no other motivation. And this is way higher, unimaginably higher than motivated devotional service. And savepum sam parodharmo yato bhakti radhokshaje ahaitu kya pratihata yayatma suprasidati. So this is ahaituki bhakti. So these quotes where heaven is promised or hell is warned for those who deviate. So these mark the initial stage in the service of Godhead. The real service does not manifest at this stage. Fear of punishment and hope of reward simply keep the servant on the way. He refrains from doing wrong, and that is all. What little service he attempts to do in this stage is therefore as yet hardly spontaneous. And he does so more for his own ease than for the pleasure of the Lord. So that he is in a more comfortable position. Oh, if I follow, chanting Hare Krishna, I may be a little bit, blessed, and my life won't be as difficult. So this is one of the motivations, even of devotees in the beginning. There's no affection for the Lord yet. In Nanda's affection, that means Nanda Maharaj, who took Krishna as his son, in Nanda's affection for Krishna, there is no self-seeking, and there cannot be any self-seeking. The love in this stage is spontaneous, and the element of fear that naturally arises from the idea of greatness of the object of love and being entirely absent in this stage, love expresses itself unchecked and fully. So here, Nanda Maharaj is not loving Krishna just because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In fact, on the contrary, we have heard that verse, those verses in Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? Where Jagannath Mishra, who is none other than Nanda Maharaj in his previous birth, um, let's go there. 15. Oh no, it's in the 14th chapter, I guess. So right at the end, we have some verses. You see. So let's see the love of Nanda Maharaj, who is none other than Jagannath Mishra here. Jagannath Mishra is the father of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, and Jagannath Mishra is Nanda Maharaj actually. So that love, that feeling between Nanda Maharaj and Krishna has not changed even when it is Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata. Their love did not change. So, on another occasion, Jagannath Mishra, seeing the mischievous acts of his son, gave him lessons in morality after rebuking him greatly. So he chastised Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was, very small, like a small boy. So he was doing many mischievous things. And Jagannath Mishra, he chastised Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and gave him lessons in morality, how we should behave and everything. And of course, the Supreme Lord doesn't need to be taught, and why then he would want to hear these instructions so that Jagannath Mishra can fully express his fatherly love. And in that way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also wanted to taste that Vatsalya Rasa. So now, on that very night, when he chastised Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jagannath Mishra dreamt that a Brahmana had come before him speaking these words in great anger. Now he got a dream that, oh, this Brahmana came and then started to chastise him. How dare you speak to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like this? Now, if it was any ordinary person, of course, these are all very divine things. But if we suppose do an audacious thing and then we get a dream like that, we will take it as Krishna's message that, hey, I should not. Yeah, I think this is Krishna telling me that I should not be talking like this or chastising him or doing something which is not to be done. Right? We will retract our steps. But not in the case of Jagannath Mishra. It's not going to happen. Because, on that very night, Jagannath Mishra dreamt that a Brahmana had come before him speaking these words in great anger. My dear Mishra, you do not know anything about your son. You think him your son, and therefore you rebuke and chastise him. Jagannath Mishra replied, this boy may be a demigod, a mystic yogi, or a great saintly person. It doesn't matter what he is, for I think he is only my son. It is the duty of a father to educate his son in both religion and morality. If I do not give him this education, how will he know of it? The Brahmana replied, if your son is a transcendental mystic boy with self-effulgent perfect knowledge, what is the use of your education? Now this is logical, but Jagannath Mishra replied, even if my son is not a common man but Narayan, still it is the duty of a father to instruct his son. So that's it. There is nothing higher than Narayan, right? So even if it is Narayan, I don't care. My duty as a father is to instruct my son and I will do it. And so this is in the unwavering Vatsalya Ras. Even ordinary morality cannot penetrate the love um, of Nanda Maharaja or Jagannath Mishra. So sometimes even Gaur Kishore Das Babaji and Vamsi Das Babaji, they used to behave in a similar way. They used to have, I think one of them, who was that? I think Vamsi Das Babaji. I may be wrong. It's either Gaur Kishore Das Babaji or Vamsi Das Babaji, one of them. So both were Babajis and both were like Avadhut, like completely, not caring for the outside world and then just in their own ecstasy most of the time. And once there is one incident where either one of them, I'm not very sure of the name. So he was chastising his Gaurnita deities, which he would hang them on his neck in a bag like that, and then he would hang them, the deities, and wherever he goes, he carries the Gaurnita deities, and he would cook for them, and wherever he is and whatever is available, he will cook something and offer to the Lord and eat. So one day he offered without salt. So, you did not give me salt. Who asked you not to give me salt? You better eat without salt. Try to understand what you're doing. If you do not give me salt, where I can get salt from? Huh? So eat it. Eat it. Learn a lesson. He was talking like this. Another time, he cooked and only offered to Nityananda Prabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you are not going to get it. I don't care. You better learn your lesson. I'll give it to Nityananda only. So in this way. Now, we cannot imitate these things. Yeah, we can imitate the external action and we will fall down by that. But this is at a very, very high stage and we don't understand the rasa. Just like this Brahmana, he was like coming from a moral perspective and also from a very rudimentary stage of religion or rudimentary stage of devotional service and that is where we are. We should also be very careful not to chastise the Lord. We cannot chastise the Lord. Even if we think we have that, oh, I consider Krishna my. Some people come like that, One time, one lady came to our temple. This was a few years ago. So she says, "Oh, I always come and talk to Krishna. Sometimes he's very naughty. I will give him nicely, I'll scold him nicely." I said, "Mataji, you can't do like that. No, no, no. He's like my son. He's like my. Sometimes she would say, oh, he's like my brother. Sometimes she will say he's like my son, and I can do it. No, 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 you can't. What stage of devotion you are that you can do it? How dare you? You can't do like that. You should not do like that. You should follow some set protocol. You can't imitate people like Yashoda Mata and Nanda Maharaj by chastising Krishna." I don't know how much went into her head, but yeah. So sometimes people imitate. We cannot imitate this. This is not cheap thing. Yeah. So, but anyway, Jagannath Mishra's love is so great that he said, even if my son is not a common man but Narayan, I don't care. Still, it is the duty of my father to instruct his son, and I will do it. In this way, Jagannath Mishra and the Brahmana discussed the principles of religion in the dream, yet Jagannath Mishra was absorbed in unalloyed parental love, mellow, and did not want to know anything else. Being very pleased, the Brahmana left after talking with Jagannath Mishra, and when Jagannath Mishra awakened from his dream, he was very much astonished. He related the dream to his friends and relatives, and every one of them was very much astonished to hear of it. So, this is how Nanda Maharaj's pleasure is, or Nanda Maharaj's affection for Krishna is. Now, in Nanda's affection for Krishna, there is no. So we are continuing the reading of this article. In Nanda's affection for Krishna, there is no self seeking and there cannot be any self seeking. The love in this stage is spontaneous, and the element of fear that naturally arises from the idea of greatness of the object of love being entirely absent in this stage, love expresses itself unchecked and fully. Again, the father, having nothing to fear or hope from his son, his service is spontaneous and most disinterested. Disinterested means unmotivated. There's no personal interest in that. It's not that he's not interested in the service. You should understand what is the meaning of disinterested. Oh, his service is spontaneous and disinterested. Okay, here is Krishna, do something. Okay, go, go, go. There's no interest. That is not the meaning. So we have to understand the meaning properly. Okay, most disinterested means there is no personal interest or motivation. He's not doing it for something to gain back. Prahlad Maharaj said, I'm not a merchant. Please don't treat me like one. Because I'm coming to you, Narasimhadev, um, and offering my prayers and trying to surrender to you, not because I want anything in return. Because Narasimhadev said, "What benediction do you want? I am ready to give anything." He said, "I'm not a merchant. Don't treat me like one." And I'm praying to you simply so that I may get association of Vaishnavas and I continue chanting your name. That's it. So that is spontaneous and most disinterested. No personal motivation. He takes every care of his Lord but expects none from him in return. Now this is kind of an illusion, right? How can you take care of the Lord and when the Lord actually takes care of everyone? But this is the rasa. The rasa, this is a nobody can take care of the Lord. But that mood of taking care is the manifestation of intense ecstasy, the service attitude of the devotee. Um, he must serve him. It does not matter whether he is put in the hell or in the heaven. He serves him, and that is all. Such complete service is not possible unless the Lord be made to hold a position much inferior to that of his servant. It is a singular triumph for the servant, a singular triumph for love, which Godhead, to please his servant, comes down to such a level to accept. There is one Nanda, but also innumerable souls who are privileged to serve Nanda. That means there is one Nanda Maharaj, but there are innumerable brothers who follow in the footsteps of Nanda Maharaj and serve him, just like we have the Ashtasakhi, we have Radharani. And serving Radharani are the Ashtasakhis. And serving the Ashtasakhis are other Sakhis. So the Ashtasakhis are called Priyanarma Sakhis, very intimate Sakhis or girlfriends. Then they are assisted by many, each of those girlfriends have many girlfriends under them assisting this gopi, many gopis under them. And those gopis, each of them have many manjaris who are like 12-year-old kind of girls, many under them. Many, when we say many, it's like thousands and millions, can't even count. So, and even the animals, the birds cooperate in the entire affairs of Vrindavan there in Golok Vrindavan. So it's a whole big mission there for the satisfaction of Radha and Krishna. So, so that is the nature where there will be the intimate associate, and then there are many who follow in the footsteps of such intimate associate. So that is mentioned here. There is one Nanda, but also innumerable souls who are privileged to serve Nanda. Whoever attains such a spiritual height is enlightened regarding the real nature of the love of Nanda for his son and is privileged to experience actual fatherly affection for Krishna without identifying himself with Nanda or Yashoda. Like all the cowherd men of Vrindavan, they all had paternal affection for Krishna. All the cowherd women of Vrindavan, they had maternal affection for Krishna. But they are not Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. But they also have such affection. And Krishna fulfilled their desire and their affection by becoming their son during the Brahma Vimohan Leela, where even the cows had calves which were Krishna for 1 year. So they were actually, Krishna was in the form of their son, their calf, and he was sucking the milk of his mother's breasts, and all the women of Vrindavan, their breasts were sucked by Krishna in the form of their own sons. So of course the whole Leela is there. I won't go into the full depths of that Leela. Basically, Brahma, he stole the cowherd boyfriends of Krishna and all the cows, all the calves. So, and then Brahma came back to see if what is Krishna is doing. What can he do if I take away all his associates? I think he'll be alone and confused. And he came back and saw him. He was playing just as before. Brahma was puzzled. What is happening? Then he went back to see, and then the boys and the calves and everybody that he stole and kept them in a state of sleep were there. But then here Krishna is just enjoying just as before. He was bewildered. So Brahma's one moment of turning here and there and looking became 1 year on earth. So for that 1 year, Krishna expanded as each of those cowherd boys who were missing, the entire party basically, and all the calves that were missing. And every year they were, every day of the year they were going back in the evening, just as every day. And then they would, drink the milk of their mothers, or the calves drink the milk of their mothers, the cows. But actually, it was all Krishna, and they were all having that maternal fulfillment, and that they could serve. And the the men of Vrindavan also had the paternal affection, and the bulls of Vrindavan also had paternal affection for their calves. So in this way, um, that is being stated here. So there is one Nanda, but also innumerable souls who are privileged to serve Nanda. Whoever attains such spiritual height is enlightened regarding the real nature of the love of Nanda for his son, and is privileged to experience actual fatherly affection for Krishna without identifying himself with Nanda or Yashoda. Prabhupada in one instance says that to identify oneself with Nanda Maharaj, to think that I am Nanda Maharaj, I am Yashoda, that is Mayavad. Because to think that I am one with God is Mayavad. To think that I am one of the confidential associates of God is also Mayavad. Merge into the existence of the confidential associates. No, that is wrong. We should be the dāsa, dāsa, servant of the servant of the servant of such confidential servitors. That is real um, devotional service. Hmm? There are innumerable persons sharing the love of Nanda for Godhead as counterparts of Nanda in that spiritual plane, which has been designated in our scriptures as Brajadham. Even here on earth, there may be persons who have attained to the sight of Godhead as son of Nanda. Godhead appears before their minds in the figure of the beloved son of Nanda, the beautiful pastoral lad Krishna, or the cowherd boy Krishna. So Dimitri was saying, in the beginning, I also wrongly thought that we can become Arjuna or Nanda in the spiritual world. These positions are taken, but Krishna is so merciful that even though he has already a Arjuna, he has already a Nanda Maharaj, but we can also taste the same thing with Krishna by being a servant of such confidential associates. And this is the beauty of devotional service. And in fact, the servant of the servant of the servant enjoys more than the servant of the servant. The servant of the servant enjoys more than the servant. The servant enjoys more than the master. So actually, the more we become dāsa, anudāsa, we enjoy more than the previous rung of devotees. That is the beauty of devotional service. And Krishna competes in this competition. Oh, master, Krishna is the master. To serve him, his servant enjoys service to him. And his servant enjoys more than his master, who is a servant of Krishna. And likewise, as they go down and down, he becomes more and more enjoyable, more and more relishable. So Krishna also competes in this competition. He becomes a servant of his devotee. There's a competition to become a servant in the spiritual world, whereas in the material world, there's a competition to become a master. It's a perverted reflection. When Krishna chooses to manifest himself on earth, he is ever born in the household of Nanda or Vasudeva. But it is a mistake to suppose that he is born in the physical sense of the term. No earthly womb can bear him. But that he appears to be born is not also mere hallucination. Now, no earthly womb can bear him, and no earthly senses can grasp him. That is the meaning of the verse, which is Atah Shri Krishna Namade na bhaved grahyam indriyayehe sevonmukhe hi jihvado swayameva spuratyadaha. And that verse has been expanded here in the explanation. So, no earthly womb can bear him, no earthly senses can grasp him. So, this is Krishna. But that he appears to be born is not also mere hallucination. Oh, so no earthly womb can actually grasp him. So he is not born in the physical sense. But at the same time, he is born from the womb of Devaki, seemingly in a physical sense. So it's not a hallucination that he was born. But then at the same time, he is unborn. He never takes birth. And no womb can actually bear him. How all this contradiction can exist simultaneously? It can. And this is the omnipotency of the Lord. If we don't accept the omnipotency of the Lord, then nothing makes sense. It actually doesn't make sense if we try to analyze it with our tiny logic. But the Lord is called Achintya, Adhokshaja. Achintya means inconceivable. Adhokshaja means our senses cannot access him. Adha krita akshaja jnanam iti adhokshaja smritaha. So that is the nature of God, Krishna. So neither he takes birth nor his birth is a hallucination. It is also true. He took birth and he did not take birth. Achintya bheda bheda tattva. We see what is really a divine event. Janma karma chame divyam. Evam yo vidya tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanmanaiti mameti sorjuna. We see what is really a divine event. Actually, we do not know the ways of Godhead as they really are, and we cannot know them except by His grace. Actually, we do not know the ways of Godhead as they really are, and we cannot know them except by His grace. Being born, He is not born in the worldly sense, and being born, He dies not. In the Gita, Krishna says, my birth and actions connected therewith are all transcendental. Janma karma chame divyam. Those who know them, uh, I think something wrong with the grammar here. In reality, what they in reality are. Okay, there's no mistake in the grammar. Those who know them what they in reality are, come to me. This is the 4:9 verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Fools hold that I was formless but have recently assumed this form. What verse is this? 7:24. Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mam abuddhayah. They do not know that I, in this form, eternally exist. I simply manifest my form on this earth, and this I can do. Param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Godhead does not come down in the human form only to only to allow his servants to hold communion with him. Those who are capable of holding communion with Godhead will see him in his own form, whether he comes down on this earth or remains beyond the ken of mortals in his eternal abode of Vaikuntha. This is important. See, Godhead does not come down in the human form only to allow his servants to hold communion with him. That means he does not come here just to, be with his devotees. Because he's already with his devotees, even though he does not so-called come and take birth here. Those who are capable of holding communion with Godhead will see him in his own form, whether he comes down on this earth or remains beyond the ken of mortals in his eternal abode of Vaikuntha. Krishna may also be moving among us in his own divine form, yet we may not hold any communion with him. This is the thing. And not only, we cannot understand how this is possible, that, when Krishna is here and then we still cannot see him and everything. But we can understand this very tangibly with Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, a person who is not a devotee, who is even maybe a Sanskrit scholar, he is looking at the exact same verses that a devotee would look at, and he's reading the exact thing, the exact book he's holding, but his understanding is distorted. He cannot see Krishna in that description of Bhagavad Gita, although Krishna is personally speaking there. He still cannot see Krishna there. Whereas a devotee, he can see Krishna immediately. And when we hear the Bhagavad Gita from a devotee, we can see Krishna immediately. We can feel the presence of Krishna. Not endowed with spiritual sight, we will not know that he in that form is fully divine. So seeing him, we see him not. So Even though we may see, for example, the Bhagavad Gita, the word of God and God are not different. Even though when we see Bhagavad Gita, we are seeing not the Bhagavad Gita because our understanding is something else. This is due to Maya, the power of illusion that he exercises upon the bound souls. Maya javanikachannam agyadhokshajamavyayam nalakshase moodhadrisha nato natyadharo yatha. And the Maulvi says, I say, don't you put some limitations on him when you give him a form and locate him in a particular place? He's asking now, don't you put some limitations on him when you give him a form and locate him in a particular place? That means, oh, if he's, so and so in height, and if he's here, and if you give him a form which is physical and finite, are you not limiting him? Then Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. On the contrary, we bring him under limitation when we deny him a form. How can he not have a form? We are trying to limit him that, oh, he cannot have a form. When we ourselves have a form, although flesh and blood, but we do have some form. Of course, our real soul has no, we have no flesh and blood form. But now we are covered by this flesh and blood form. But so if we have form, then how does he not be able to have form? That means he can be in this one place and at the same time be everywhere, and that is the real understanding of God. If we think that by being here he is limited and he cannot be everywhere, that is a very, very limited, distorted, convoluted understanding of God, trying to put him into our capabilities. That is actually limiting, trying to limit God. So that's what Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura says. On the contrary, we bring him under limitation when we deny him a form. We can neither give him a form nor can deny him any. In both cases, we shall be guilty of mental speculation. So we cannot give him a form, we cannot deny him a form. Godhead is what he is and not what we want to take him. If he has a form, we must not deny it, and if he has not, then we must not create any. Powerful argument, right? In the scriptures, he has been revealed with a form. His is certainly a transcendental form made of the same elements of which he is made. So his body is certainly a transcendental form made of the same elements of which he is made. Satchidananda Vigraha. And unlike our body, which is different from our soul, he and his form are one, an indivisible whole. Not only he, but all the angels that live with him have such a form. Now, in this, he's using the language of those Abrahamic faith angels, but he's actually referring to the inhabitants of the spiritual world, his servants there, who are very angelic. Angels are, usually the apsaras and such beings in heaven, who are very beautiful and very, very beautiful. But the inhabitants of Vaikuntha are way prettier than the inhabitants of the heaven. So he is generally referring to them as angels so that the other person can understand. Not only he, but all the angels that live with him have such a form. Sarupya Mukti, this is having the same form of the Lord as the Lord. In the Bible, we find Godhead has created man after his own image. This shows that Godhead has human form, but in this form, he is also omnipresent. Now, okay, there is one mention here, Nurilahi, later on. But there are more verses from the Quran which point to the form of God, but they're very not so much highlighted. And there is one article actually, I don't know whether I can find it. Just give me a moment. I will see if I can find it. I don't seem to be able to find the article. Um, but yeah, there's an article I saw many years ago, actually, at least 12 years ago. I saw this article where it's a Pakistani man. He became a devotee. He was a Muslim, and he became a Krishna devotee. And he quotes from the Quran, which point to verses which point to his form. Now, today's Muslims, they won't accept this, but it's no blasphemy at all, because this form is not at all like the form that we have. It's Sachidananda Vigraha, and God is the origin of everything, and He's also the origin of form, and therefore the quality of having a form will not be absent in Him. It is utter stupidity to say that actually He cannot have a form. Even the Mayavadis of the Vedic school, they also have this misconception that He cannot have a form. Yeah, He doesn't have a material form, but He does have a form, spiritual form, and that is the proper understanding. In the Bible, we find Godhead has created man after His own image. This shows that Godhead has human form, but in this form, He's also omnipresent. Now, Moulvi says, it is very difficult to believe that He appears to His devotees in a particular form. It may be hallucination as well, he says. And Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura says, it may not also be so. Do you mean that? Do you mean to say, now see, this attack is very good. Do you mean to say that Hazrat Muhammad was under hallucination when he heard Gabriel talking to him? Or when he saw Nur Ilahi, light of Godhead, and fainted? When the 12 disciples of Christ were the 12 disciples of Christ, were the 12 disciples of Christ under hallucination when they saw Christ, felt him, talked with him after his resurrection? Were Moses, Aaron, Abraham, and many others of the Old Testament under hallucination when they heard Godhead talking from a veil of cloud? If Muhammad could see Nur Ilahi, Nanda and others could see Krishna in the Nur Ilahi. Um, so he saw the light of Godhead, and a person, a devotee, he can see the Godhead within the light of Godhead. Brahman, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti Shabdate. That's why Ishopanishad there is this verse, right? 15th verse of the Ishopanishad. What is that? हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखं तत्त्वं पोषन्न पावृणु सत्यधर्माय दृष्टये. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. So this dazzling effulgence is the Nur Ilahi, the light from the Lord. But the light means it is not that He is only light. There is a source of light. And that source of light is Godhead, and that Godhead is a person. If Muhammad could see Nur Ilahi, Nanda and others could see Krishna in the Nur Ilahi. If you believe in one place, you should believe in another. If ear has heard him, eye has also seen him. Of course, he is not to be perceived by this eye or this ear. We will have to acquire other eyes and other ears. We must not adopt grape sour argument, grape sour, I mean sour grape argument in our spiritual investigation. Just because I cannot, so it cannot be done at all. Um, or just because I don't have such information, I just shun it. It is all some speculation, hallucination. I cannot adopt the sour grape philosophy. Sour grape philosophy. This jackal, he wanted to the grapevine was the creeper was growing on a tree and all that. So he was trying to reach for the grapes. He was trying to jump and reach for the grapes, but he could not reach them. So he just said, I think these grapes are all sour. No point catching them. So here, when clear descriptions are given in revealed scriptures, not just some concocted nonsense of people, but revealed scriptures that this is such and such is the form of God, why we should not believe it, and we should then believe that Muhammad saw Nur Ilahi, and The disciples of Christ, they talked with him after his resurrection, which is not possible for ordinary people, right? How who has died and 3 days after he has come alive and he can talk and people talk with him. So it's not hallucination. If we can accept that those are not hallucination, and if we can accept that Moses, Aaron, Abraham, and many others of the Old Testament were not in the hallucination when they heard Godhead talking from a veil of cloud. So when they can hear Godhead, that means Godhead can speak. That means he has a mouth, not like a mouth like ours. Yes, he has a spiritual mouth, spiritual body, and Muhammad could see the light. So if these are all possible, and if we can accept those statements and say that they are not hallucination, why then here is a hallucination? That is a sour grape philosophy. So that's why it is said, he's saying we must not adopt a sour grape argument in our spiritual investigation. We should explore. If there is something more to learn, we explore. Don't just say that it's not possible and it's not true. Again, it is not the question of our perceiving him, but it is a question of his allowing us to perceive him. Okay. Some references here. Two hands, 564. Has one shin only, 6842. Has eyes, 5248. Okay, we'll cross reference them from the Quran. Okay. What is that? 564. Okay, let's go. Al Maida. Al Maida. Five what? 64. How many verses are there? It's a bit slow somehow. Some among the Jews said Allah is tight fisted. May their fists be tied and they be condemned for what they said. Rather, he is open handed, giving freely as he pleases. That means he has hands. That which has been revealed to you, O Prophet, from your Lord will only cause many of them to increase in wickedness and disbelief. We have stirred among them hostility and hatred until the day of judgment. Whenever they kindle the fire of war, Allah puts it out. And they strive to spread corruption in the land, and Allah does not like corruptors. So he has hand, he's open handed. Has one shin, 6842. Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti. He can give not only with his hands, he give with his mouth, he can give with his. So this is very advanced understanding of God that we have, that no other form of religion actually can say that they have. What is that? 68 Al Kalam. Only 25 verses? Why is it going all the way here? This is still loading. It's quite slow today, the internet. Mm. $68. 42 has shin. Beware of the day the shin of Allah will be bared, and the wicked will be asked to prostrate, but they will not be able to do so. Well, it is not said that only one shin, but the shin of Allah will be bared. So, I mean, the shin means legs, feet. So, and the wicked will be asked to prostrate, but they will not be able to do so. So, the feet is there mentioned, has eyes, 52:48. Okay, let's go to 52. How can these verses be said when he doesn't have anything? So, there are very indirect indications. So, be patient with your Lord's decree, for you are truly under our watchful eyes, and glorify the praises of your Lord when you rise. So, this is apparently from the. So, this is the words of Allah as revealed to Muhammad. So, our watchful eyes. I mean, and I think some other quotations are also there that he sits on a throne. I mean, he sits, you know, on a throne. That is also there. Hmm. There we have it. Some are more quotations here shared by Dimitri Prabhu. The face of Allah, 55:27. Eyes of Allah, 20, 39, 96, 14, 52, 48. 54:14. Hands of Allah, 38, 75, 39, 67, 48, 10. The throne of Allah, 69, 17, 57, 4. Okay, let's see the throne. So I think we should save all these quotations and quote throne, 69, 17, right? Al-Haqqa. With angels on its sides on that day, 8 mighty angels will bear the throne of your Lord above them. Throne, 57:4. Al-Hadid, 4. He is the one who created the heavens and the earth in 6 days, then established himself on the throne. He knows whatever goes into the earth and whatever comes out of it, and whatever descends from the sky and whatever ascends into it. And He is with you wherever you are, for Allah is all seeing of what you do. How is this different from our Vaishnava religion? Like how? But it's just a complete misrepresentation, of you know of Islam. If they do it by terrorism and think that that is Islam, they're not even close. They're not even close. And not only the personal features of the Lord mentioned in these verses, but the other verses which were quoted in the earlier parts of this conversation in the past two classes that we have studied, how they should treat other religious systems, which actually there's no other religion. There's only one religion, that is to love God and to obey Him. And so something that has not come from the Quran, how to treat them, how to treat the other acharyas. I mean, this is like, and thank all of you for sharing those verses. So this has to be a compilation, and I think it is it'll be very helpful if we can have this compilation. I'll put it up as an article as well, so that we can have all these things ready. Okay, so all of these have been cross-referenced, and of course, some of them which are like 20, 39, 96, 14, not even for the sake of length of the class, I'm not going to go into that. Oh, it came into here now. Why it went off? Hmm. Again, it is not the question of our perceiving him, but it is a question of his allowing us to perceive him. We must remain contented with that much perception of him as much he, out of his overwhelming mercy, allows us to have. Therefore, stop where you are, but do not say, thus far and no farther. I will go thus far and no farther. So, if there is knowledge available on the same lines, for example, Quran says, these Nur Ilahi and his throne and everything. If it speaks all this, then if there is some more information of his throne, if there's some more information of his eyes and hands and legs and everything that is mentioned already in the Quran, why not accept it? Why thus far? I will only go thus far and no farther. Why we have to limit ourselves? And it is not a competition that we are not competing with Islam. We are not competing with anything. We're just saying that this is natural progression and evolution of religion, and the highest knowledge is explained in the our Vaishnava texts. It's the same knowledge, but more information is given because the Vedic culture was dealing with people who were much more capable and culturally advanced, whereas Hazrat Muhammad had to deal with a section of people who were barbarians. He was dealing with them, and he had to raise them to the standard of Krishna consciousness. And therefore he limited how much he knew. He did not say everything. If Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Hazrat Muhammad is of Sakhyaras, that means he is a pure devotee. But he did not reveal all these things because the people cannot understand these things. So he just told them how to conduct yourself so that you'll be rewarded if you follow the injunctions of Allah, and if you go against him, you'll be punished. Because such physical terms they could understand, and those were the considerations that were put forward in such religious systems. Now, with regard to the question of Brahma and Shiva sharing in godly virtues, now this is the other thing that Islam they don't accept this demigods and polytheism. So they think Hinduism is polytheism. It is not. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Period. No one else is God. Krishna is God and nobody else. Vishnu, Krishna, Ram, that is the same. But nobody else like Shiva, Brahma, what to speak of other lower demigods like Indra and Chandra and Daksha and all of that. So now the question regarding the question of Brahma and Shiva sharing in godly virtues. Our scriptures um, our scriptures do not set them up as Krishna's equals. So this is our scriptures. They are agents of him. You also believe in the existence of a host of angels as his agents. Brahma and Shiva are nothing but angels possessing varying measures of the divine potency. They carry out his mandates but do not and cannot initiate a new policy in their respective spheres of activities. So they cannot initiate anything, a new policy. They can just follow his mandates, Krishna's mandates. The Supreme Lord Krishna delegates certain powers to them to enable them to discharge their duties. Those jivas of one creation who are found spiritually fittest are appointed as Brahma and Shiva in the next creation after dissolution. Then what is the harm of believing in the existence of such a class of jivas with exceptional abilities to do the will of their Lord? Every one of the angels exercises in a more or less extent godly powers. Moses, Christ, Muhammad are supposed to have exercised them. And the Moulvi says, That's a torture upon faith. He's saying this is torture to hear this kind of thing. That, Brahma and Shiva, again, you're bringing in now this polytheistic kind of thing. This is torture on faith. Now, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura says, aye, it is so. We shall go by faith and not by sight. That means we believe in the statements of the scriptures and not by our um, sensory perception or mental perception. We shall go by faith, not by sight. Now he actually defines very nicely here what is torture of faith and why the torture is there. Because if I believe that there is no other God, there is only Allah, and to say that there are other beings like Brahma and Shiva, this is like torture upon faith, right? So he explains very clearly what this all means. So he said, aye, it is so. We shall go by faith and not by sight. Verification of spiritual facts is impossible on the material plane of consciousness. On the spiritual plane of consciousness, they are seen as they are believed. Okay? So long as we are not endowed with spiritual vision, we must accept them as they are represented to us. We would believe what is revealed to us and we would believe what is not revealed to us. Torture on faith is everywhere. If we put up with it in one place, we must put up with it in another. Now he's saying, this very, very technically he explained. So he's saying that verification of spiritual facts. Now we can't say that the statements of Bhagavad Gita are true because we can verify them. We may be able to verify some of them, so we will believe them readily. But those which we cannot immediately verify, we should also believe. Because Krishna does not speak a lie. God does not speak a lie. Okay? So, even if something is not verifiable immediately, still I have to believe. That is what he's saying. He's saying we would believe what is revealed to us and we would believe what is not revealed to us. And when we believe in something which we can't understand with our senses, that's like a torture on faith. Like, I see it to be something else, but the book is saying something else. It is torturing my faith. It is not revealed to me, and I can't corroborate it with what I'm seeing. For example, moon landing. Prabhupada said we cannot go to the moon like that. But here they are trying to go to the moon, and now India is making this Chandrayaan mission. This is a torture on people, devotees' faith, sometimes. Oh, how can this be true? Well, this is true. And where they are going, we don't know. But they're definitely not to the moon. Because moon doesn't look like that. Moon does not look like that, like a black stone, black soil. That is not how moon looks like. Moon is so bright. How can you bring black rocks from a bright planet like that? They're going somewhere else. Either they're doing it on Earth and going somewhere else. Prabhupada said one time that maybe they're going to Rahu planet and thinking it is moon. It is not. They're just not going to the moon. That's it. We have to be absolutely clear about it. And how we are clear? Hey, you are, sometimes, some person wrote to me. He says, if you believe in Prabhupada, how can you believe his statements that, moon is farther than the sun and evolution and things like that, which is all pseudoscience? No. You are pseudoscience. What you are doing, this so-called scientists are doing, that is pseudoscience. Cheating. Every time they're cheating. And we are taking that as if that is, absolute reality. So we have to have absolute faith in that, even if it is torturous, because we are hit with a so-called perception. We did not go to the moon. We don't know what they're doing actually. Yeah? We are just believing these statements of the news, and everybody is clapping. Chandrayaan, oh Chandrayaan, Chandrayaan. Oh yes. Everybody is clapping means of course they know what they're doing. No? All scientists, all studied and well-learned people, they know what they're doing. We don't think they know what they're doing. Now, people may say, who are you to talk? What do you know about science? What do you know about aeronautical engineering? What do you know about anything? Well, we know Krishna. And Krishna, if he says something, then we will believe it. even if my eyes say something else. For example, my eyes say that the sun is a small bright spot in the sky. That's all my eyes say. But I am saying that the sun is many millions of times bigger than the earth. How are we to corroborate this? How do I know how big it is? Unless I hear it from some texts. This is called Shastra Chakshu. So, our eyes don't tell us the real thing. Even our instruments, which may be extension of our senses, will only reveal that much. They have their own limitations. We cannot know more than that. And even if we have instruments, if we are blind, what can we see? Forget about moon. On the earth, we have ghosts, which we cannot see. We are afraid of them. We cannot see them, but they're everywhere. Ghosts. We cannot see them. And science also doesn't say much about it. Oh, this is a paranormal activity. Paranormal. They just give a word which is like a vague word, like something on the sidelines of science and something to do with spirituality, something which science has not explored yet. Something which science has not explored yet, they relegate it to something superstitious or something hallucination. Just because the science has no capacity to understand something doesn't mean that it is something stupid. You are stupid, therefore you cannot understand. This is our argument to them. You are stupid and you are relying on your own senses and your own instruments. You are a blind fellow, first of all. What you can understand, what can you see? Krishna knows everything, and when he says something, like when he says, we are not the body, and then just like dresses, we are changing bodies every life. So this all, okay, it appeals to the intellect. So then we accept it. But if something doesn't appeal to the intellect, we reject it. We are basing Krishna's words on our intellect. Krishna is right here, but he's not right here. So you are right all the time. Okay? Is that what you're trying to say? Are we right all the time? Why do we have so much faith in our senses rather than Krishna's words? He is the creator. He knows very well what is everything. He created it. If you are Elon Musk and I tell you, you don't know how this rocket functions, that is audacity. I mean, that is sheer stupidity to say something like that. Oh, Krishna, this Elon Musk, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I know. What? Krishna has created everything and he's telling how it is. So we should take his word. That's it. It may be torture. It is only torture because we are intercepting the faith with our experience and it's not matching. So it's not matching, and that is why it is torture. It is torture because I don't have faith. I'm trying to have faith in only my experience, which is not how faith works. Faith means something beyond your experience, something which your experience cannot grasp. That is faith. See, that's why it says torture on faith is everywhere. If we put up with it in one place, we must put up with it in another. Just like he's saying to the Moulvi that you have believed that there are angels, that these angels, Gabriel spoke to Hazrat Muhammad, and similarly there are many mentions of angels in the scriptures. No, you have not seen any angel. Why do you have faith in these things then? So if you have faith in that, which is beyond your sense perception, that is not a torture. But when in another scripture something is presented, similar thing, then you cannot believe it. Like you say that is a torture. What are you saying? So that's why you see one of the Maulvi is saying, we have a reason. Shall we not exercise it? That means he's saying, see, we have reasoning capacity. We have rational capacity. Shall we not exercise it? We just believe something blindly? Then Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura says, we have reason. But how far can we trust it? Can we bring our intellect to bear upon a realm where it cannot go? The conditioned souls must have divine light to guide them. Muhammad is reported to have said to his writers, write what I tell you to write, but don't write what I say. What I tell you to write, you write. But not everything that I say, you write. And why? Because human reasoning is defective, but divine reasoning is not so. Now, with regard to respect for creatures of a lower order, the Vedas are ahead of all. Now, until now, it is beings or creatures of a higher order than human beings, and not God and not human beings. Between them, so they are demigods and other such heavenly beings, who may be called angels in other scriptures, something like that. So, now with regard to respect for creatures of a lower order, the Vedas are ahead of all. They want us to have respect for all of them, for they are also souls enmeshed in different physical forms. The Quran is one place, the Quran in one place tells us to practice pure diet. I want to see that verse. But it is doubtful if it excludes meat and fish. Probably Muhammad advises his followers to take them as halal or pure food. Blood, according to Lord Chaitanya, is an impure food and it must, on no account, under any pretext, be taken as food. Such a diet, by justifying malice in a palpable form, incapacitates the consumer for spiritual thinking. So, blood, haram. Now, I would want to also see the verse. I saw this verse before where it says that blood is haram. If anybody can help me find that verse and share it in the comments, that'll be helpful. Um, Somebody is asking how to control lust. Now, this is not the subject of this topic, so let's stay in topic. Um, I'll just make a quick search if I can find blood. Okay. Al Maida 5:3. Found it. Okay, let's go. Okay, so a little bit slow. Be patient a little bit. Krishna. See, it's very slow. Maybe I can. Don't understand why it doesn't. Okay. 5:2:5:3. Forbidden to you are carrion, blood, and swine, what is slaughtered in the name of any other than Allah, what is killed by strangling, beating, a fall, or being gored to death, what is partly eaten by a predator unless you slaughter it, and what is sacrificed on altars. You are also forbidden to draw lots for decisions. That means gambling. This is all evil. Today, the disbelievers have given up all hope of undermining your faith. So do not fear them, fear me. Today I have perfected your faith for you, completed my favor upon you, and chosen Islam as your way. But whoever is compelled by extreme hunger, not intending to sin, then surely Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. So this sounds very similar to the Manusmriti verses that we read. that you can kill on the altar and eat, certain types, but blood, no. So my question is, if you eat meat, there is going to be blood. You can never have meat without blood, without a single drop of blood. There's no such thing. So ultimately, it does not actually um, encourage animal killing. And there's one Islamic scholar who once quoted from a hadith, which is not Quran, but it's a supplementary text, where he says that um, the milk of a cow is nectar, but the blood of a cow is poison. So we cannot kill the cow. So he's a vegetarian imam, priest, vegetarian. So these are the things. So very similar to what we are practicing. So blood, according to Lord Chaitanya, is an impure food and it must not, on no account, under any pretext, to be taken as food. Such a diet, by justifying malice in a palpable form, incapacitates the consumer for spiritual thinking. So this is actually taken from this verse, 10:14. 10:14. निवृत्ततर्षैरुपगीयमानात् भवौषधात् श्रोत्रमनोभिरामात् क उत्तमश्लोकगुणानुवादात् पुमान् विरज्येत विना पशुघ्नात्. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the Parampara system, that is, it is conveyed from spiritual master to disciple. Such glorification is relished by those no longer interested in the false, temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. Descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned soul undergoing repeated birth and death. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher or one who is killing his own self? See. We will address all the comments and questions just after the session, which is we're already almost at the end of the session. Now, this is one verse. Then we have another verse. So basically, this verse says, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher or the one who is killing his own self? Killing his own self means not just a person who commits suicide, but also spiritual suicide, in the sense that Mayavad, philosophy, they cannot hear glorification of the Lord. And the butcher, who is an animal killer, who is an animal eater, he cannot understand the glorification of the Lord. Then there's this other verse. Of course, in Bhagavad Gita we have 17:19. मूढग्राहेणात्मनो यत् पीडया क्रियते तपः परस्योत्साधनार्थं वा तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्. Penance performed out of foolishness with self-torture or to destroy or injure others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Yeah? This is nothing to do with knowledge. With self-torture or to destroy or injure others. This extremism nonsense, so-called jihad, which is all extremism and terrorism, rubbish to the core. Yeah? 1825. अनुबंधं क्षयं हिंसाम् अनपेक्ष्य च पौरुषं मोहादारभ्यते कर्म यत्तत्तामसमुच्यते. That action performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunctions, and without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused to others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Okay? Then we have in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have seen this verse the other day, 11:5-14. ये त्वनेवं विदोषन्तः स्तब्धाः सदभिमानिनः Pashun druhyanti vishrabdhah pretyakhadanti te chatan. Those sinful persons who are ignorant of actual religious principles, yet consider themselves to be completely pious, without compunction commit violence against innocent animals who are fully trusting in them. In their next lives, such sinful persons will be eaten by the same creatures they have killed in this world. And there is a meaning of Mamsaha, which is there also in the Manusmriti. We have read that on Saturday. Next, this is the most powerful verse which is coming up. Is it this one? 616. You see this. This is very interesting. Okay, let's read from here 6, 16, 40, 41, and 42. Okay, I don't know if it is even prose or. Wait a second. I can't even make out whether it's prose or poetry. Wait a second. I will just try to size. Okay, this is verse, but it is a length which I'm not very sure of. Okay. जितमजित तदा भवता यदाह भागवतं धर्मम् अनवद्यं निष्किंचना ये मुनय आत्मा रामायम upasate pavargaya. O conquerable one, O unconquerable one, when you spoke about Bhagavad Dharma, which is the uncontaminated religious system for achieving the shelter of your lotus feet, that was your victory. Persons who have no material desires, like the Kumaras, who are self-satisfied sages, worship you to be liberated from material contamination. In other words, they accept the process of Bhagavad Dharma to achieve shelter at your lotus feet. Now, anything other than Bhagavad Dharma, which is Krishna consciousness, which is devotional service to Krishna, even the Vedic Karmakandya process of religion, and every other religious system which is materially motivated, that here, this is explained. These two verses are very important. विषममतिर्न यत्र नृणां त्वमहम् इति मम तवेति चयदन्यत्र विषमधिया रचितो यः स हि अविशुद्धः क्षयिष्णुरधर्मबहुलः. Being full of contradictions, all forms of religion but Bhagavad Dharma work under conceptions of fruitive results and distinctions of you and I and yours and mine. The followers of Srimad Bhagavatam have no such consciousness. They are all Krishna conscious, thinking that they are Krishna's and Krishna is theirs. There are other low-class religious systems which are contemplated for the killing of enemies or the gaining of mystic power, but such religious systems, being full of passion and envy, are impure and temporary. Because they are full of envy, they are full of irreligion. This is the form that some religions have taken today. Although originally came with a good intention, it has ended up as something totally different. Even our Vedic religion, honestly. कह क्षेमो निज परयोः कियान् वार्थः स्वपर द्रुहा धर्मेण स्वद्रोहा तव कोपः परसंपीडया च तथा धर्मः. Wow. How can a religious system that produces envy of oneself and of others be beneficial for oneself and for them? What is auspicious about following such a system? What is actually to be gained? By causing pain to one's own self due to self-envy and by causing pain to others, one arouses your anger and practices irreligion. Now, if we see the original verses of the Quran as even the word Islam is the making of peace with God and making of peace with others. That is the original intention of all religious system. Every religious system comes from the same thing. It's actually coming from Krishna. But you see what it has become, what they usually become. When they are materially motivated, they will degrade. Even spiritually, they get degraded. What to speak of materially motivated religion, which will degrade way faster. You see, even sampradaya, evam parampara praptam imam rajarsho vidu sakala nehamata yogo nashta. So even the spiritual science gets degraded because of lack of following in the parampara system. What to speak of motivated religion, which is, of course, unmotivated religion is what, is the highest. But most of these religious systems, they advocate motivated religion. Oh, you will get heaven if you follow this, and so in this way, they're just motivated religions. That is exactly what is condemned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is because that is a cheating process of religion. Kaitava dharma, by showing something else as if that is the fruit of religion. No, it is not. The real fruit of religion is to be engaged in Krishna's service, not anything else to be gained from that. But now, if a religious system produces envy of oneself and of others, how can it be beneficial for oneself and for them? What is auspicious about following such a system? What is actually to be gained? By causing pain to one's own self due to self envy, and by causing pain to others, one arouses your anger, Krishna's anger, and practices irreligion. So this is very, very clear. If anyone practices violence in the name of religion, they are actually irreligious. They are not religious. Whether violence to animals or violence to humans, it's all the same. If one is violent to animals all the time, then it will escalate to humans. If you can kill the goat of, cut the throat of a goat and everything as if it's like nothing, you will do that to the human also one day. So, and especially if one is fanatic and distorted in his understanding of religion, then that's what will happen. So these are very powerful verses. Then this Moulvi says, "Thanks, I'm getting late. I'm very glad to have a talk with you. I have not made any comparative study of different religions. We shall meet another day. Now, one thing, do all Hindus interpret the Vedas like you?" And Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura says, "You can't say if all Muhammadans think like you. A true Hindu, a sincere follower of the Vedas, must think in the proper way. I thank you for the opportunity you have afforded me to serve you. I shall be always at your service. Goodbye." So that is the end of the conversation. Well, certainly that man did not turn into a Hindu or a Vaishnava yet. He was still a Maulvi. But, you know, this is how an interfaith dialogue must be conducted. And this is how it should be conducted. And this is how we should be aware of the text. And from our acharyas, we can know actually where are the quotations. Now you see so many quotations are pinpointed in the Quran where this is said. So of course we should not extensively quote from other scriptures. We should quote from our scriptures. But also we should be aware how it is coinciding with what they are saying, what their scriptures say. And we should quote their scriptures in a mood to reconcile and in a mood to, at the same time, not compromise. Reconcile yet not compromise. So that should be the mode of conducting these kind of dialogues. Because we are on the platform of truth. That's no question about it. And we have to be confident that we're on the platform of truth. And we should be, so that confidence will come with having answers to all kinds of arguments that may come our way with proper quotations and answers. We should be prepared, basically, for these kind of, um, attacks we may get in arguments. Okay, so that's the end of the conversation. An absolute masterpiece. Now, Let's look at the questions and comments and then we will wrap up the session. I don't think peaceful existence with these people is possible. They hate us and want to be treated as equals. They're obviously not interested in congruence. No, they may be not. Maybe the vast majority may be not. Because if I eat meat, I cannot understand God. So, yeah, we cannot expect high levels of acceptance from such a community. But there may be some who, you know, can accept. We are not looking for masses. And we have no such aspiration. If they come, that is well and good. But there may be some, who will apply their brain and actually understand what is what. But at least, whether they accept or not, in our heart, in our mind, we must be clear how to present ourselves. And not just, it is not a manipulation. Oh, this is how we should present ourselves. Like we hide some things and say something. Not exactly like that. We should know the original intention of the prophet and we should be confident that he was sent by Krishna. Even Buddha, we don't follow Buddhism. We are against Buddhism in the sense that we Buddhism is Gnostic, is atheism basically. They don't accept that there is a God. They think Buddha is an enlightened one, and like that, they think he's a perfected soul, but they don't accept him as God. So that is atheism. So we don't subscribe to that. But at the same time, we have that song, right? Nindasi yajna vidheraha shruti chatam sadaya hridaya darshita pashughatam keshavadhrita buddha sharira jaya jagadisha hare. We have our prayer to Lord Buddha, um, understanding very well that he is actually the supreme personality of Godhead. We regard Buddha even more than the Buddhists themselves. Buddhists, they consider him an enlightened being only. We consider him God, and yet we do not follow Buddhism because it is atheism, and God had to do that for the time being to set right, because people were misinterpreting the Vedas and killing animals like anything. Just like Vivekananda said, oh, we can eat beef and everything. Hindus were eating beef before Buddha came. So this is, people misinterpreted the Vedas, and we have taken the Manusmriti and we have studied that in the last session, that section where this whole sacrifice thing is mentioned. So we have to have a proper understanding, and because the proper understanding was not there, so Buddha said, okay, stop all this, just stop animal killing. He did not even want to waste time with arguments. No, it is actually like this, like that. In the meantime, animals were being killed. No, stop everything. Sadaya hridaya darshita pashughatam. So he, taking compassion upon animals and the killers of animals, he propounded his philosophy. So we do accept Hazrat Muhammad as a bona fide representative of God. Now, he was teaching to a community which was not very advanced, and therefore his teachings are rudimentary. But it is not that there's something different from what our Bhagavatam is saying. It's not different. So we need to understand the how to say parallels and the congruence of all these religious systems and what is the common factor. And we should know these verses also. It will help in presenting our argument more concretely, how this reconciliation can be made without any compromise in anybody's philosophy. We are not compromising, and we're not even asking the Muslims to compromise. In this dialogue, at least, there was no what is that request by Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura to ask the Moulvi to compromise on his understanding and accept my understanding. No. In fact, he showed from his own understanding that if you do not honor the other scriptures, then you are dishonoring your own Quran. Because Quran says you must honor all scriptures. And Quran says you must honor all other holy teachers, acharyas. And if you don't respect other, prophets, then you are, committing blasphemy against Quran. So, if anything, he is actually making them not compromise on their principles, not to compromise. So unity can be achieved, or harmony between these religious systems can be achieved by properly following the religion, not by, like today's interfaith dialogues are all about just like, yeah, that is your customs, this is my customs, and let's live with, you are right, I am right, everybody is right, and then just do whatever we want. So, and everybody is following a defective version or a distorted version of their scriptures, and we are taught to tolerate that and say that this is harmony. That is not. We have to implore every party to follow the religious systems thoroughly. Before following, understand your religious system thoroughly first of all, and then follow it. So, to give the proper understanding of the religion, even so, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura has presented verses from Quran itself. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita that he spoke to the Muslims and he quoted from Quran and proved that there's a person, God is a person. So I think he must have quoted all these verses which were mentioned in the comment section today. So so this is how we actually arrive at things. So to show that their own scripture says these things, it is not a compromise, and therefore we just have a little more extension of that knowledge. We have in fact the knowledge of the highest limit of love of Godhead, which is Srimati Radharani. So nobody is compromising here. In fact, our thing, by not compromising, we actually can get harmony. By compromising is where harmony will go away, because harmony cannot be had by our own way. Oh, this religion says like this religion says like this. So I think, you know what? Don't discuss all these things. Just smile with each other, shake hands, and yay, pose for pictures, and that is an interfaith dialogue. Please, it's stupidity. Neither you are following properly, nor I am following properly, and we are just both friends on the superficial level, but inside we hate each other. So what is the point of this thing? And no peace is going to come from that. It's just, if any peace is there, it's just superficial. Superficial. We have to have from the heart proper understanding, and that is achieved if we can understand the scriptures from the mouth or from the guidance of a pure devotee. And in this case, we can, in fact, my understanding of Islam and Quran have greatly been enhanced by this conversation, by studying this conversation. I hope you can say the same thing as well, right? So, this is how we actually understand. And even when Prabhupada was asked by some Christian community, um, what is your opinion of Jesus Christ? Then Prabhupada said, he's my guru. Oh, everybody clapped. Wow, they did not expect that. Of course, we may not follow their every single one of their teachings. Like we don't sacrifice animals. We don't do all of that because we know it is for a lesser class of people, such animal killing. Whereas for a person who is a Vaishnava, it's the highest. So he has standard which is not possible. I mean, not anywhere close to all these things. Very pure. Only Krishna Prasadam, this kind of purity. So not only in the matter of food but everything. So we have to understand in this way and conduct ourselves and participate in dialogues in this way, in a civil way, organized way, and proper understanding. So there's no point having simply hatred. We should try to help them by proper understanding. If they don't accept, never mind. At least our people must have a proper understanding about what is what. As I said the other day, the Hindutva of today, which is so called protecting Hinduism in the Kshatriya spirit, is stemming from insecurity because they do not know actually what their religion really is. Hindus do not know what their religion is. They think they know. They think that these customs are there, these customs, these rituals, that thing, and that's it. Let us follow that. Why we should follow this? What is the ultimate goal? No idea. Okay, so this will not help anyone. Yeah, and simply because somebody said something about this religion, just go against. Oh, that religion is like this. That religion is like this. And I spoke about Harsha Vidya Samajam as well, which apparently saves Hindus from being converted to Islam or Christianity, or help others religion people convert to Hindus. We cannot actually convert anything. We are always servant of Krishna, and then we can never change that. Jivar Swarup hai Krishna Nityadas. But anyway, but when I saw the video, it was full of blasphemy. That lady was openly saying that Puranas are ridiculous. I mean, that is rascaldom to say something like that. Absolute rascaldom. She should just shut up and not talk anything. If you do not know, do not talk. We have to learn these things from a pure devotee, and then we will have proper understanding. As I said the other day, what is the point if I am staying in another religious system and blaspheming the scripture, or I'm staying in the same religious system and blaspheming my own scripture? The result is the same. In football, when two goal posts are there, from this team they have to kick and make a goal on the other side, and this team has to score a goal on this side. Now, whether I score the goal on this side or I'm of this team and I score my own goal, this team is going to get it, the goal, the score, point. So scoring an own goal is worse than um, letting others score it somehow. Some breach in the defense, and then the other party they scored a goal. That is lesser of an embarrassment or lesser of a defeat than we scoring our own goal. This kind of nonsense preaching in the name of Sanatan Dharma. What is the meaning of this? This all has to be smashed. Puranas are not ridiculous. You are ridiculous if you think Puranas are ridiculous. So yes, they may appear contradictory on the surface, and to understand the true meaning, we have to understand from a pure devotee. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, CC Madhya 20.145. व्यामोहाय चराचरस्य जगतस् ते ते पुराणागमास् तां तामेव हि देवतां परमिकां जल्पन्तु कल्पावधि सिद्धान्ते पुनरेक एव भगवान् विष्णुः समस्तागमा व्यापारेषु विवेचनव्यतिकरं नीतेषु निश्चीयते. It's a verse from Padma Puran. Don't know exactly where it is from. I think somebody else quoted in another book. The number is there. I will also cross-reference this later on. Then we can have the exact number, because sometimes we are accused of quoting made-up verses by some of the so-called religionists, Hindus. This is actually, there is a number in one of the Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books. I saw the actual number of this verse. Anyway, there are many types of Vedic literatures and supplementary Puranas. In each of them, there are particular demigods who are spoken of as the chief demigod. This is just to create an illusion for moving and non-moving living entities. Let them perpetually engage in such imaginations. However, when one analytically studies all these Vedic literatures collectively, he comes to the conclusion that Lord Vishnu is the one and only Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this exact same thing is said by Lord Brahma as well. To 33 and 34. नह्यतोऽन्यः शिवः पन्था विशतः संसृता विह वासुदेवे भगवति भक्ति योगो यतो भवेत्. For those who are wandering in the material universe, there is no more auspicious means of deliverance than what is aimed at in the direct devotional service of Lord Krishna. The next verse, 2 to 34. Bhagavan Brahma Kartsanyena Triranvikshya Manishaya Tadadhyavasyat Kutastho Ratiratmanyato Bhavet. The great personality Brahma, with great attention and concentration of the mind, studied the Vedas 3 times. And after scrutinizingly examining them, he ascertained that attraction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the highest perfection of religion. So, if Brahma with his 4 heads has come to this conclusion, who are we? So, this is how we to understand our points. Okay, so next. Surah 73 speaks on meditation in Quran. The Bible, I don't know how to pronounce this word, Psalms or what, I don't know. 1 to 6 speaks the same. Luke 11:34 to 36 speaks on third eye. My question is, why does the Bible say to meditate in private, but can people do it together? Actually, this rahasi sthitaha, this meditation, see, is done privately. Kriteya Dhyayato Vishnu. Dhruv Maharaj, he did privately. He did not do like a public meditation. In fact, there is no such thing as public meditation. There is nonsense to do public meditation. Yoga, Siddhi, this meditation is to be done privately. You see, sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, what is said? 6, 11, and 12, and 13, and 14. Let's see. शुचौ देशे प्रतिष्ठाप्य स्थिरमासनम् आत्मनः नात्युच्छ्रितं नातिनीचं शैलाजिनकुशोत्तरं तत्रैकाग्रं मनः कृत्वा यत्र चित्तेन्द्रियक्रियः उपविश्यासने युञ्ज्याद् योगमात्मविशुद्धये. To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place. What is this? Suchau deshe, an auspicious place, and secluded. And should lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. The seat should neither be too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activities and fixing the mind on one point. Okay. Samam Kaya Shirogrim. And you can see all the great yogis, they go to the Himalayas. The yogis do meditation in seclusion. They don't 50 yogis sitting together and practicing meditation. No, you will not find like that. Each yogi in his own cave, in his own part, in his own hermitage, wherever. That's how it is performed. Kardama Muni did it alone. So Kriteya Dhyato Vishnu, the Dhyanam is to be done alone. How can 50 people sit together and then chit chatting and what Dhyanam will happen? Unless they're, of course, discussing about the topics of Krishna. But this meditation, this, what is that? Dhyanavasthita tadgatena manasa pashyantiyam yogina. Meditation of Paramatma in the heart, that is to be done alone. So Srimad Bhagavatam, 9, 6, 51. Sangam tyajeta mithuna vratinam mumukshu sarvatmanana visrajet bahirindriyani ekascharan rahasi chittamananta ishe yunjita tadvratishu sadhushu chet prasanga. A person desiring liberation from material bondage must give up the association of persons interested in sex life and should not employ his senses externally in seeing, hearing, talking, walking, and so on. One should always stay in a secluded place, completely fixing his mind at the lotus feet of the Supreme Unlimited Personality of Godhead. And if one wants any association at all, he should associate with persons similarly engaged. In Kali Yuga, we cannot do this alone thing, Nirjan Bhajan. So we have to do in the association of devotees. And even those people who did the Nirjan Bhajan, seclusion, meditation in seclusion, they did it only after associating with the pure devotee. For example, Dhruva Maharaj, he met Narada Muni and learned from him and then did it. Valmiki Muni did it after meeting Narada Muni again. So, even if they do it, unless they have a connection with the pure devotee, they cannot do it even. Real yogi, real bhakti yogi. So, meditating private is the proper thing. If meditation is the process. But of course, congregational chanting is different. That can be done publicly. As many people as possible, no problem. Why should we not be confused about the multiplicity of gods? God is omnipresent, though at times he incarnates in one form at one place. God is only one, he is not two. though people refer to him by different names and forms. Ekam satyam viprah bahudha vadanti. Truth is one, but wise refer to it by various names. Not exactly by various names, in various ways. Viprah bahudha vadanti. They describe it in different ways. Okay? It is only our illusion that we ascribe different names to God like Rama, Krishna, Jesus, Allah, etc. The sun is only one and it appears in different parts of the world at I think it is I think the quotation was, what did you say? Limited. I mean, what is that word? Cut. Because I think the more than the word length. Now you see, ekam satyam viprah bahudha vadanti. So the truth is one, but the description may be different. So this is mentioned actually. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:22-4. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Yuktam cha santi sarvatra. Okay, I'll just take out this quote here. Bhashante brahmana yatha mayam madiyam udgrihya vadatam kimnu durghatam. Lord Krishna replied, because all material elements are present everywhere, it is reasonable that different learned brahmanas have analyzed them in different ways. All such philosophers spoke under the shelter of my mystic potency, and thus they could say anything without contradicting the truth. That does not mean whatever they said is correct. No. Like, for example, Vivekananda said, Yatama Tattvavit. Any path will lead to the same goal. As many paths as we can conceive, that many we can follow. Now we can. That is not wrong. But it will not end up in the same destination. That is different now. Now I can take whichever path I want. Yes, that is true. But to say that all paths lead to the same goal, that is stupidity. Sometimes they may lead to the same goal. Because ultimately they are meant to reach to the same goal. And that is at least the authorized processes. Unauthorized processes definitely don't go to the same goal. But authorized, like Karma Kanda, although it is a very inferior process, but it is part of the authorized Vedic process. So even one takes to Karma Kanda, he will end up in Vaikuntha because by Karma Kanda he will slowly become purified. After millions of births, he may actually get a association of a saintly person, and then under his guidance he will become a Vaishnava, and then becoming perfected in his devotional service, he will go back to Krishna. So it is a much longer route. Rather, if we directly take to bhakti, immediately the perfection is there. That is the difference. So in that way, yes, Yatama Tattva is right. Like Prabhupada gave the example. What is that? Alexander the Great. We don't consider him very great actually. Western world may consider him as very great. He was not all that great actually. But anyway, Alexander. He, from Europe, instead of going east to India, he wanted to go to the west and find another route to India. But he ended up in America. But if he would have crossed that land and gone still further, yeah, he may come to India. Yeah, in that way, all paths lead to the same goal in a way, right? But it is much longer, and that's exactly what it's basically waste of time. That is mentioned in this 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 5th verse. क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखं देहवद्भिरवाप्यते. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. See? So, advancement can be done very, very difficult. Very difficult. Unless one comes to devotional service, one really cannot achieve the destination. So, they can say anything, in other words, without contradicting the truth. But that does not mean they are actually speaking the truth. But why everybody has their own opinion about certain things and everybody is convinced of their so-called opinions. And why is that so? 6.431. यच्छक्तयो वदतां वादिनां वै विवादसंवादभुवो भवन्ति कुर्वन्ति चैषां मुहुरात्ममोहं Tasmai namo nanta gunaya bhumne. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all-pervading Supreme Personality of Godhead, who possesses unlimited transcendental qualities, acting from within the cause of the hearts of all philosophers, who propagate various views. Hmm? Hmm. Acting from within the cores of the hearts of all philosophers who propagate various views, he causes them to forget their own souls while sometimes agreeing and sometimes disagreeing among themselves. Thus, he creates within this material world a situation in which they are unable to come to a conclusion. I offer my obeisances unto him. So this is the thing, they can come with any opinion and still be convinced, and they may not come to any conclusion. They may not come to any agreement. But नैतदेवं यथार्थत्वं यदहं वच्मि तत्तथा एवं विवदतां हेतुं शक्तयो मे दुरत्ययाः. When philosophers argue, I don't choose to analyze this particular case in the same way that you have. It is simply my own insurmountable energies that are motivating their analytic disagreements. See? It is Krishna's own insurmountable energies. यासां व्यतिकरादासीद् विकल्पो वदतां पदं प्राप्ते शमदमेप्येति वादस्तमनुशाम्यति. By interaction of my energies, different opinions arise. But for those who have fixed their intelligence on me and control their senses, differences of perception disappear, and consequently the very cause for argument is removed. For example, today we have studied this conversation between this Moulvi and Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. Now, the differences of perception have disappeared. Oh, that religion is like that, this religion is like this, and we are like this. No. Now we understand that actually what is intended to be preached by Hazrat Muhammad in the Quran is actually Vaishnavism in a rudimentary form yet, but it's Vaishnavism. If you see, there is complete congruence between the texts of the Quran and that of our Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So the differences of perception disappear, and consequently, the very cause for argument is removed. And that is how we have to solve all these problems. So, of course, sometimes it also means that we have to challenge them to say that, hey, this is not correct. Like, for example, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, he very politely told him that, what you're doing is not correct. If you think that Shiva and Brahma should not be accepted, and that is not correct, you have to change. Oh, it is a torture upon faith. Well, your scripture says similar things. Why do you accept those? So, you see how he turned around the argument and, spoke convincingly. So, he made him kind of agree, quoting from his own books, quoting similar things. Oh, okay, there are similar things here also. So, in that way, it has to be done. So therefore, we will only be confused about all these things if we do not take shelter of a pure devotee and learn from him. Now, when we read Prabhupada's books, it becomes very clear. Yeah, without reading Prabhupada's books, it will be very, very unclear. Why so many gods, why so many religions, why so many different faiths, and why everybody is fighting with each other. This is the kind of understanding we will have. But once we understand it through our Śrīla Prabhupada's books and Acharyas, like here Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura is doing in today's session. So in this way we can have actually the right understanding. Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena gatah sapantha. Only the pure devotees can actually teach real religious principles. They know. In their heart is hidden the secret and the truth about religious principles, and nobody else can know them. I would listen to the HBV on my Bible app, and me being a Geminian, I felt a godhead of some sort of power that was considered to be the Mercurian. Mercurian. I don't know what that is. I don't understand what you're talking about. I believe I have understood Shiva to be related to the biblical Lucifer, which is related to Venus, who wanted his light to be more than God's. Brahma equals Abraham, Vishnu, David, Krishna, Christ, Shiva, Lucifer. Well, it's a bit of a stretch of an imagination, but yeah, Abraham comes from the word Brahma. Vishnu, David, I don't know. That's a bit of an imagination, stretch of an imagination. Krishna, Christ, well, Krishna not equals Christ. Christ said, I'm the son of God. So, Krishna, Krishna, um, uh, Christopher, Christ. So that is relation like the etymological relation. But that doesn't mean that Krishna is Christ. No, he sent Christ. Christ is Jesus is his or yeah, I think Christ is the Father. I think Jesus is the Son. Yeah, so Jesus is the Son of God, and Christ I think is the name of the Father. And yeah, it is not different from the word Krishna. Shiva, Lucifer. Well, from what I understand, Lucifer is the demon or something, right? I don't know. Not very thorough in their understanding of the Abrahamic faiths, but I don't want to draw parallels. Prabhupada once was asked also, can we take Brahma, Abraham, and why then this Adam and Eve? How to understand that from our scriptures? Prabhupada said we don't have to look for every single thing to match. Some what acharyas, what ways and means they use to educate the people of their time and circumstance they use. It doesn't have to exactly match. It doesn't have to, and we don't have to try to match it up. There's no need. So I wouldn't do this. This is some concoction, mental speculation. So let's not delve into that. I began to wonder and research or read upon his faith, relationships, or creations, Lord of Lords, Cloud Rider, and the Most High God. Well, Krishna is the highest. You should read Bhagavad Gita. If you haven't read yet, you can read. Muhammad Hijab said Wahhabis teach Hinduism because Allah has eyes and a face. Okay, I don't know about this. I don't know who is Muhammad Hijab. How to control us? Well, that is not the subject of this topic now. Yeah, this is Al Maida. Forbidden to you for food or dead meat, blood, the flesh of swine, and that on which hath been invoked the name of other than Allah. Sir, this world is run by Maya delusion. Yes. But Krishna says, if you surrender to me, you can cross beyond this illusion. Devi hiesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameve prapadyante maya metam tarantite. This divine energy of mind, which is the Maya, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Okay, so Rick Miller is saying in Hebrew, Abraham means the father of multitudes. David means beloved and has something to do with the triangular. Christ means anointed. Anointed, yeah. He had this tilak, this anointed one. There is a statue, I don't know where it is, where Jesus is holding this three boys or something. And all of them had shikha, like this hair, tuft of hair. And they had some, like vertical urdhva pundra. The word Allah was not even used in any book before 1400 years, and they say that Allah created the world and first human was a Muslim. Well, what even the Muslims do not know is that Islam comes in every Kali Yuga that we know. That is corroborated in the Narsimha Puran about that quote from the, you know, this one. I think I've already showed this before. Um, दंष्ट्रिदंष्ट्रा हतोम्लेच्छो हारामेति पुनः पुनः उक्त्वापि मुक्तिमाप्नोति किं पुनः श्रद्धया गृणन्. Even a mlecha who is being killed by the tusk of a boar and who cries in distress again and again, Haram, Haram, attains liberation. What then to speak of those who chant the holy name with veneration and faith? So this is from the Narsimha Puran. Since this is a quotation from Narsimha Puran, this indicates that in the Puranic age there must also have been mlechas and yavanas, meat eaters, and the words haram meaning condemned were also uttered in those days. So you see, it is, so these, this was there also before in other Kali Yugas and like that. So that's one thing. But Allah, although it can, it started 1400 years ago, it means the same person. It's not that Krishna came 5000 years ago, he was only 5000 years ago, his existence started. No, he's always there. And his another name is Allah. And a religion which expounds such, scriptures and all that, come in different time and circumstances, especially in Kali Yuga. These different types of religions comes only in Kali Yuga. Before that, only one religion, Sanatana Dharma. But in Kali Yuga, this will come and it will be the cause of fights and strife. That also is because of a lack of proper understanding of the religion and not because of the religion itself. So we don't have to make mockery of these words because now you may say, oh, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita only like 5000 years ago and he's saying he's the creator of everything. We cannot mock like that, right? So he comes every now and then he speaks in different languages. A flower is called a flower in English, but it's called a bunga in Malay language, which is here local. And it is called puvu in Telugu and pool in Hindi. So, I mean, different words, but it's the same thing that we're talking about. So, we should not be making mockery. That will only increase hatred, and first of all, it doesn't reflect a good understanding of religion even in our own minds. It means we ourselves did not understand what is religion if we make a mockery of other religions. So it's not about making mockery. It's about actually understanding and truly following that religion. And if you truly understand, you will be pointed towards Vaishnavism because that is the essence of all religion. And the holy name of Krishna is the seed of all religion. As today, a very nice verse was shared in the WhatsApp group, which if I try to take it out here, it may be. Oh, I can't take it out. Wait a second. Kalyananam nidhanam. Oh, this is now. Okay, I'll just read it because it'll take some time. So, Padyavali text 19, Rupa Goswami. This actually he was written by maybe somebody else, but maybe he would have written or collected from someone else. Kalyananam nidhanam kalimalamатhanam pavanam pavananam patheyam yanmumukshoh sapadi parapada praptaye prochyamanam vishramasthanamekam kavivaravachasam जीवनम सज्जनानाम बीजं धर्मद्रुमस्य प्रभवतु भवतं भूतये कृष्ण नाम. May Krishna's holy name, which is a reservoir of all transcendental happiness, the destruction of Kali Yuga's sins, the most purifying of all purifying things, the saintly person's food as he traverses the path to the spiritual world, the pleasure garden where the voices of the greatest saints, philosophers, and poets play, the life of the righteous, and the seed of the tree of religion bring transcendental auspiciousness to you all. So, the holy name of Krishna is the seed of all religion, and that chanting of the holy name of God is there in every religion, and this is what we have to focus on and try to induce them to follow their own religion properly. And if they really follow, it will be nothing other than Vaishnavism. They will come to this Vaishnavic understanding only. So, that is how it has to be done. Um, there are so many hotels in the world, all are run by gluttony. Yeah. Why are we making mistakes? Because it's Kali Yuga, the ignorance, or the external influence. Kali Yuga is just an intense version of material existence, and where the ignorance is higher, the external influence is higher, and our mistakes also become higher. But we made a mistake even coming into this material world. That's our first mistake, to leave the kingdom of God, Vaikuntha, and come here. That's our biggest mistake. And everything after that is going to be a mistake. In a mathematical formula, in a mathematical problem solving, if in the first step you say that maybe 2 plus 2 equals 5, and then take that 5 and then go to the next step, and then you come up with this whole computation, at the end of the thing you will get a wrong answer, because the first step itself is wrong. And even after that you followed everything correctly, everything is wrong because the first step is wrong. So our first mistake is that we gave up on Krishna and came to this material world, and that is itself a mistake. Okay, thank you for this. Lust is not today's topic. You can watch this where Tattva Prabhu elaborated on lust at length. Okay, there's something long one again. The butcher who was carrying a load of meat accidentally touched Shankara in passing. Shankara flew into a rage. His eyes blazed like two balls of fire. His piercing glance was about to turn the butcher into a heap of ashes. The poor butcher, trembling from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head, said, "Venerable sir, please tell me the reason of your anger. I am at your service. I am at your command." Shankara blurted out, "How dare you touch my body which has just been sanctified?" Well, maybe I don't know the story, but maybe it is there. I don't know. Which Purana? You have to quote the reference. Okay, anyway. They don't have knowledge of the soul in the body. That's why animal killing for such people is nothing. Yeah. Adamas is another word from ancient Greek that means either or unconquerable. Actually, even in Sanskrit, this makes sense. Unconquerable. Dama, Dama, Shama, Dama, Tapah, Shaucham. Samo, Dama, Tapah, Shaucham. The qualities of Brahmana, 1842. Dama means control. Of course, in this case, it is referring to the control of the senses, but Dama means to control. Dama means to tie. Damodara. So, Dama means to control, Dama means to tie. That means basically control also. If you can tie, means you can control. So, here Dama means self control, but actually, Dama means control. Here it is in the context of self control. Now, Adamas means you cannot control him, you cannot conquer him. So, it does make sense even in Sanskrit if that is the meaning in Greek. Adamas. Adama, you cannot control him. Unconquerable. Okay, this is an interesting question. Jako Ara. Okay. What is the meaning of self envy, Prabhu? Okay. So self envy means, when you envy someone, when you have jealousy for someone or some envy for someone, you want to harm that person, or cause some way which discomfort or whatever to that person, right? Now, when we commit sin, we are seemingly envious of that other creature, causing harm to that creature. But what do we get in return? Harm to ourselves. So when we are harming ourselves, there is the sort of self envy. When we smoke, it is written there smoking is injurious to health, you will die a horrible death, and we are smoking. Only an idiot would do that, which means all smokers are idiots, and yes, we mean that. So, so this is the meaning. That this is self envy. You are just spoiling yourself, you're hurting yourself. This is stupidity. Like a ghostly haunted person would do things which would, affect him adversely, right? He may try to do crazy things, in which he himself may get actually injured, or he may injure others. So that is self envy. When we're haunted by a ghost, when we're haunted by the ghost of Maya, we harm ourselves, and that is self envy. So when we envy others, we're envying ourselves actually. We don't desire good for a person whom we envy, right? So if we don't desire our own good, then we are acting with self envy. If we don't take to Krishna consciousness, we are acting with self envy. We don't desire our own good. That is what it means. Adam in Hebrew means earth or soil. Eve means living one, source of life or to live. Generally, Muslims, if you see Prabhuji, they are very dirty and absolutely no birth control. Well, if they really, really, really follow, they shouldn't be dirty. They should be clean and in heart and in body and everything. Well, I would say it is a misrepresentation or not properly following their this thing. It has degenerated to that level. But here, in this part of the world, the Muslims, they're very particular about taking bath every day, and they're very particular about many aspects of cleanliness, um, on a daily basis. In India, it is not. In Hyderabad, there used to be this phrase, "chumma ke chumma." That means, I don't know why they say it like that, but every Friday is when they take bath, once a week. Like, who taught them this? I don't understand. But in this part of the world, the Muslims, they don't do that. They bathe every day. I don't know. Maybe some distortion somewhere. I don't think there is a standard. Maybe in the desert there was no water and maybe once a week. I don't know what was the thing, but when there is water, you should bathe more. I don't know how those rules came of Friday to Friday, every Friday they take bath or something like that. Um, and no birth control. This is where I'm a little bit concerned. Now, what do you mean by birth control? Contraceptives or um, things like abortion, which are very sinful. We also don't condone that. Even in our families, until two generations back, there used to be 10 children, 15 children in a family. It was not uncommon. At least 5, 6 children. 5, 6 children is considered like less. Oh, five only, huh? Okay. Some even 9, 11. Like my mother's side, there were 9 of them. My father's side, there were 5 of them. And we've seen more also in other families. So nowadays they are taking to these contraceptives, which is very sinful. Engaging in sex for sense gratification, that is very sinful. That is not the way Krishna intended it to be done. um, Kama, what is it? um, why did I forget? कामेषु भरतर्षभ धर्माविरुद्धो भूतेषु कामोऽस्मि भरतर्षभ. Dharmaviruddha bhuteshu. Dharma aviruddha. Sex which is not against religious principles, that is proper sex and is a representation of Krishna. And it is a service to Krishna. Not only beget the child, but also train him in Krishna consciousness. So that is proper. That is proper birth control. But this contraceptives and abortion, this is complete rubbish. Sinful means sinful activity. It is absolutely dirty. Thank you so much for this series. Amazing conversation from where we can learn a lot. How to speak with respect and how to defeat arguments. Absolutely. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, there is this one Muslim guy and he's behind one of my Hindu friend and says that he loves her and wants to marry her. They met on social media. What should I advise her? Well, she should be careful. Better not, um, I would say, because although we are not against Islam, but today's Muslim, I don't know how much of a practitioner he is. Definitely, he's a meat eater, and that is unacceptable to us. So anyway, if there is lust, there's the girl may go for him, but if she can be trained in religious principles, ask her to read Prabhupada's books. Then she will know what is right and what is wrong. Prabhupada will guide her, Krishna will guide her. So just by, oh, don't marry a Muslim, be a Hindu, don't convert to Muslim, that is not going to help. Even Hinduism is full of trash nowadays. The real thing is she has to understand our religion, Sanatan Dharma, from the books of a pure devotee, which is Prabhupada. So give her Prabhupada's books, let her read, and let her get a proper understanding of what religion is and is what is to be followed, what is not to be followed, what is to be done, what is not to be done. Everything she will get a clear understanding. And then she can see that this person being a meat eater is wrong. I don't know if she is a meat eater, and then she has to herself stop. And if he wants to, marry, then he has to follow these principles. Not like, she has to change to Islam. No. So that strength should be there. And if it cannot be done, then you should leave it. So give her Prabhupada's books. That is what I would suggest. The context of these religious books have been put in a way to make people idol worship instead of seeing the mystical self realization, self surrendering true form of it. Well, idol worship is not just idol. I mean, deity worship is far different from idol worship, and we have explained that at length in our first part of this series, I think, this conversation, um, where this topic comes. So, we have already covered that. Idol worship is, it's not exactly idol worship when it is deity worship, especially our Archamurti. And it is connected with mystical self realization and self surrendering true form of religion. And there have been many, many instances where the deities actually talk to the devotees and even walked. So many things. I mean, a pure devotee can always converse with the deity. The Lord descends himself in a way, in a form where devotees can serve him, even if they are neophytes, absolute beginners. They also can dress him up. Otherwise, who gets this opportunity? Nanda Maharaj, I mean, Yashoda Maya, she dresses Krishna up. Now, we have no such capability to go to that level at this point. So, Krishna is so kind that he has come in the form of, seemingly like a stone and as if like helpless, standing, and he needs to be dressed. And then, once we dress Krishna, we become dressed with all the decorative, qualities of Krishna. So, when we see him and when we, think of making him, nicely dressed, then we become purified. So, to purify us, he has come in the form of the deity. He has come in the form of a book. He has come in the form of his name. He has come in the form of his prasadam. So, all these are his extensions of his mercy. He's extending his hand of mercy to us so that we can catch hold of him. He's making himself available and reachable and accessible to us through these forms. So this is not idol worship, and it is not in the least not connected with mystical self-realization or self-surrendering true form of religion. No. So that's why I suggest you actually read Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and that would clear many, many of your doubts. In fact, everything. And after that, of course, there is this one book. Then we have, of course, the smaller books, which are Signs of Self Realization, Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers, and all such books. And for further study, one may study Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction. Um, teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna book. So these books, if you study, you will get a very, very clear understanding of what religion is, what deity worship is, what self-realization is, what self-surrender is, everything. In fact, in my whole life, do not see a Muslim who are very clean. So they're very tamasic nature people, either it be their man or their woman. Well, yeah, I mean, if it so we have to show them what is the real standard of purity, cleanliness, and everything. We should not hate. So Jesus said some important thing: hate the sin, not the sinner. Hate the sin, not the sinner. So yeah, they may be doing many things wrong, but so we should correct that and help them. First of all, we ourselves are doing many things wrong. Just because we may shower or take bath every day, that does not mean we are doing everything right. Also, we are doing everything wrong in our own way. So we have to become proper devotees first. We have to come to right conduct first, and then yes, try to help others who are not in the right conduct. We have to think and make plans on how to help them. This should be the mission and thought process of a devotee. Srila Prabhupada writes in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita that Bhagavad Gita includes everything other scriptures have, and only now I have realized it how much Islam has in common with Vaishnavism. Absolutely right. In fact, Prabhupada says in the introduction, Bhagavad Gita includes everything other scriptures have and also has things which other scriptures do not have. And yeah, this conversation really puts into perspective how much Islam has in common with Vaishnavism and how much it is distorted in today's this thing. And the so-called followers today are not followers, and they are against Vaishnavism. It's sad to see that, but dialogues like these, if are made popular, and if you can engage in more such dialogues with people, then it will be a better. There will be better outcome eventually. So we can just share this knowledge, and hopefully it will go more and more people watch it, more and more people read this, and then they will understand. That's why those who understand Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, they understand the true nature of real religion. And especially in the hands of a pure devotee like Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, Śrīla Prabhupada, we can really solve all problems. They're all the same, different cultures and languages, yes. But just that there is more information in the Vedas than in any other form. It is just much more advanced version of what is taught in other forms of religion. The Bible says God split the land and spread the 12 tribes around the earth. Well, I'll show you a similar verse. No, this is not the one. Prithu Maharaj, I think, divided the whole world into different. What is that verse? The boundaries of the hills and the rivers. They make the natural boundaries of countries and something like that. What is that verse? It's in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but mm, Hmm. Priyavrata, sorry. भूसंस्थानं कृतं येन सरिद्गिरिवनादिभिः सीमा च भूतनिर्वृत्यै द्वीपे द्वीपे विभागशः. To stop the quarreling among different peoples, Maharaj Priyavrata marked boundaries at rivers and at the edges of mountains and forests so that no one would trespass upon another's property. Purport: the example set by Maharaj Priyavrata in marking off different states is still followed. As indicated here, different classes of men are destined to live in different areas, and therefore the boundaries of various tracts of land which are described here as islands should be defined by different rivers, forests, and hills. This is also mentioned in relation to Maharaj Prithu, who was born from the dead body of his father by the manipulation of the great sages. So, yeah, I think Prithu also did that. Maharaj Prithu's father was very sinful, and therefore a black man called Nishada was first born from his dead body. The Nishada race was given a place in the forest because by nature they are thieves and rogues. As animals are given places in various forests and hills, men who are like animals are also destined to live there. One cannot be promoted to civilized life unless one comes to Krishna consciousness, for by nature one is destined to live in a particular situation according to one's karma and association with the modes of nature. If men want to live in harmony and peace, they must take to Krishna consciousness, for they cannot achieve the highest standard while absorbed in the bodily concept of life. Maharaj Priyavrata divided the surface of the globe into different islands so that each class of men would live peacefully and not clash with the others. The modern idea of nationhood has gradually developed from the divisions made by Maharaj Priyavrata. So, yeah, these things all coincide. I mean, there are, you know, Dimitri. There is an amazing story when a certain judge visiting Śrīla Bhaktisiddānta indignantly told him, "You have to preach in mountainous areas and jungles, converting the tribes living there to Hinduism and Vaishnavism." Sarasvatī Ṭhākura replied, "Forcing and ordering, forcibly converting others is not our method. Our goal is not to convert a Christian to Hinduism or a Hindu to Christianity. Everyone is a son of God, and our task is to explain to people their true position or swarup." And of course, I think it is cut off. So yeah, I mean, this is exactly what happened in this conversation. Not forcing. Yeah, I want to see that. Where is the source of this story from? I also recently saw a person saying Puranas are allegorical. They have no faith in the scriptures, first of all. Satya Goswami said it is better to lose an argument on purpose. It is bad for ego but good for energy. What is what is being said here? Recently, I talked with an ISKCON Mataji. Her mouth is like garbage. She don't know any Shastra but spamming nonsense on CS. What is CS? It is unfortunate how much ISKCON is corrupted nowadays. It was a very bad experience for me with talking with her. Why did ISKCON ban one of its very famous preacher? I mean, he just criticized Mayavadis like Vivekananda and Ramakrishna and exposed their philosophies. Was it ethically wrong to do so? Not at all. Not at all. This is what ISKCON has become. ISKCON today does not have the guts, does not have the purity, does not have the power to speak the truth anymore. It is not a representation of what Srila Prabhupada left. It is not a representation of Srila Prabhupada. It is going against the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada's meaning, I mean, his mantra, which are Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Paschatya Desha Tarani, and here they are promoting Nirvishesha Shunyavadi and Yatamat Tatapat. They have become brainless because they have disobeyed the order of the spiritual master, because um, the Ritvik system of initiation, that was the primary disobedience, and after that, everything is a disobedience. The first step of the equation is wrong, everything else is wrong after that, following. So it is degrading and degrading. ISKCON has become such a wimp today, no guts at all, pandering to the public, pandering to the ignorant public instead of educating them. I mean, you know, good luck to them. Have you ever read Tattva Sandarbha? If yes, what is your and best Sandarbha? I have not read it. I have just gotten the books. I just received them. So maybe one day I will read them. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Chand Kazi, by uprooting single hair from cow's body, one will suffer millions of years in Raurava hell. Prabhupada said we should be after knowledge. If we want to know math, we should go to university, not remain in the kindergarten. So if we want to know God, we should be open to study, not limit ourselves with a certain religion or beliefs. Like Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura said in this conversation, if your faith is better, then I'm ready to accept yours and give up mine. Yeah, that is the thing. Can we see people in bhakti as we grow up who are committing aparadha in bhakti and they are falling down? For pramana, I'm just asking. I know it happens because Acharya claims it. Actually, I don't understand your question. I think the grammar is off and I cannot understand what you're saying actually. Have you ever read the Sat Sandarbha? If yes, what is your favorite Sandarbha and what is best? See, we cannot say what is best, what is my favorite. I cannot say like this. Everything that is written by the Acharyas is for our good and everything is like that. And I have not read them yet. I will read them. Whatever one does, one must do so wholeheartedly in order to enjoy. The Lord looks at a person's heart and sincerity and not at the amount of time he puts into his spiritual practice. Please, if he is not interested, if you are interested in cricket, you will whole day play cricket. If you are interested in spirituality, you will put all your amount of time in spirituality. Wholeheartedly means what? What are you talking? See, wholeheartedly means you will put as much time and effort and you will give up your entire life for that. That is wholeheartedly. Not wholeheartedly for some time. After that, I'll just do my own thing. Doesn't sound correct at all. If he's sincere and if he's wholeheartedly doing it, then he puts as much time as he possibly can into that. If he's really enjoying it, why would he want to come out of the enjoyment by only doing it for a while? He would want to stay there perpetually, and that is what pure devotees ask for. Let me be always engaged in the service of your servants. So that is what wholeheartedly means. How can wholeheartedly and time not be correlated? Right. In Russia, people basically take a shower once a week too on Saturday, but bath day they say. Oh really? Yeah, it's all muchi, dirty. Yes, my father's side 5 children. Okay, that will lead to Varna Sankara. I don't know which you're talking about. Is it talking about that Muslim boy and the Hindu girl? I don't know. Same Finland. They think once week shower is healthy for skin. Oh. But nowadays Hindu aren't taking more than 2 children. Yes, of course, the Vedas are the oldest scriptures dating to over 3,500 years old. No, 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 way older than that. Millions and millions and millions of years old. Brahma Samhita was spoken right at the beginning of creation, which is trillions of years back. It is just what is that? Reintroduced to mankind every time it gets lost. Because over time, people distort the meaning and distort the practice and everything, and then it becomes unrecognizable. And then the Lord comes personally, or he sends his messengers or acharyas like that to again revive such religious principles. So, although from historical point of view, Bhagavad Gita is 5,000 years old, in the same Bhagavad Gita, which was spoken 5,000 years ago, Krishna says this, fourth chapter, first verse. Imam vivasvate Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavana hamavyayam vivasvan manave praham manurikshvakave bravit. The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna said, I instructed these imperishable signs of yoga to the sun god Vivasvan, and Vivasvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. So here the trace of the history of Bhagavad Gita is mentioned. So here the numbers are also given, I think. At the present moment, we have just passed through 5,000 years of the Kali Yuga, which lasts 432,000 years. Before this, there was Dwapara Yuga, 800,000 years. Actually, there is an approximation. The real number is 864,000 years. And before that, there was Treta Yuga 1.2. Actually, it is 1,296,000 years. And thus, some 2,005,000 years ago, Manu spoke the Bhagavad Gita to his disciple and son Maharaj Ikshvaku, the king of this planet Earth. The age of the current Manu is calculated to last some 305,300,000 years, of which 120,400,000 years have passed. Accepting that before the birth of Manu, the Gita was spoken by the Lord to his disciple, the sun god Vivasvan, a rough estimate is that the Gita was spoken at least 120,400,000 years ago, and in human society it has been extant for 2 million years. It was re-spoken by the Lord again to Arjuna about 5,000 years ago. That is a rough estimate of the history of the Gita, according to the Gita itself and according to the version of the speakers, Lord Sri Krishna. So you see, this is the date. This is 3,500 years is nothing. And even this 120 million years is nothing. It was there since trillions and trillions of years. It's Sanatan. There is no beginning to this religion. It is every time reintroduced. Like this is what you see, 4th chapter, 7th and 8th verses. You see. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. And he speaks again all these things. And he does activities which are ever victorious. Next, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chudushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, and as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. Millennium means, Western way millennium is 1,000 years, but in our millennium means yuga. Yuga means every yuga, like Satya Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga, again Satya Yuga. So in every yuga he comes to re-establish the principles of religion. So the last time he came, Krishna, was 5,000 years ago, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came 500 years ago. That does not mean Bhagavad Gita is only 5,000 years old, or the Vedas are only 3,500. No. Millions and trillions of years old. They are just repeated every time it is lost in the human society. Prabhu, I have a personal question. Well, this is not the time. Is attachment for a new buy thing is good, but like I bought a watch one day ago and whole day thinking about that. Is it some kind of special disease? Yeah, it is. Written from are older than 5,000, but the words are coming from Vishnu Bhagavan. Words are older than creation, yes. Oh, we have a Ramakrishna shot. Okay, we'll watch that. They say Srila Prabhupada is highly advanced, that's why he can comment upon those people, but we are not on his level, so our business is to keep silent. Then how are we going to come to his level or come to the level of pure devotee if we keep silent? So he is pure devotee, so he can chant. We cannot, we commit offenses, so we don't chant. He is pure devotee, he can do deity worship, he can actually talk to Krishna, he can see Krishna. We cannot, we can only see like stone or what, so let us not do it. He can offer to Krishna and Krishna will actually accept his whatever he's offering. We are not pure devotees, so Krishna will not accept our offering, so we will not offer anything and eat everything, every bloody nonsense we want. Where is it going to end, this argument? I can extrapolate this argument to every single aspect of our devotional lives. Why we have to follow some things and not follow other things? Why should I chant Hare Krishna? Prabhupada is also chanting Hare Krishna. Because I am not on the level of Prabhupada, I should not be chanting Hare Krishna. No? Well, Prabhupada asked us to chant Hare Krishna, and Prabhupada said, "You must." I never compromised. My Guru Maharaj never compromised, nor am I compromising, nor do I want any of my disciples to compromise. That's what Prabhupada said. So that is also his order. So what? Levels or not level? Truth is truth. Prabhupada said, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. When Shamsundar Prabhu's daughter was saying, Krishna, do you know who Krishna is? You don't know? He is the supreme personality of Godhead. She used to tell a small kid, 3, 4 year old. Oh, this is preaching. How is that preaching? She doesn't know what she's talking about actually. Hardly she knows anything what she's talking about. What is supreme personality of Godhead? What is that? She doesn't know. She cannot explain. But she's saying, and that is the truth. And we, to an extent, we may understand, but we don't understand everything about Krishna. So how can we say Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead you know, by not having full understanding of him? So we have to repeat. By keeping silent, we are distorting the message. And in ISKCON's case, they did worse. They just did not even keep silent. They went ahead and glorified Vivekananda and threw Amoghlilu under the bus. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Actually, Vivekananda is a great person. This Ramakrishna, great spiritual leaders and everything. Dietary preferences. Yeah, they had some meat and all. That is something else. Let's talk. They're great spiritual leaders. This person, he doesn't know anything. We have admonished him 1 month. He cannot speak. So he is rascal. Vivekananda is great. This is what they have effectively said. What can I say? All rascals. Is ISKCON and ISKCON same? ISKCON is the real ISKCON that Prabhupada wanted to have. Today ISKCON is not the ISKCON that Prabhupada wanted to have. And so ISKCON and ISKCON is not the same. Have you ever experienced anyone who's falling down in bhakti just because he is committing aparadh? So many. So many. So many. Including myself. While we are advancing, we commit so many aparadh. Vaishnava aparadh, dham aparadh, seva aparadh, naam aparadh. So many aparadh we commit. And we can see our own devotion going down. Our materialistic thoughts become more disturbed in our service. So these things, so many other signs and symptoms. And you can see also other devotees who have grossly committed and how they've fallen completely away from devotional life and become envious of devotees. And so that's another thing. So immense examples. Immense. He meant the ego will suffer by losing an argument, but at least you have contained your energy. Energy exchange is happening, and people who go out of their way to argue like peaceful community are energy vampire. Well, no, you see how Bhaktisiddhānta, that's why I'm saying how this conversation was conducted by Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. He engaged in a calm way, did not compromise a single bit, and even educated the Moulvi. That's what it should be. We should know how to conduct ourselves. As a neophyte, we do not know how to conduct ourselves. But as we grow more and more, we should know how to conduct ourselves. Of course, if the guy is not listening and he's just like arguing for argument's sake, then to hell with him. We don't want to deal with the guy. He's an animal. This Moulvi, at least he was listening and he was questioning, he was listening to what Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura had to say. And he was engaging in the conversation. But if somebody is just, Prabhupada also many times shouted at many people, when they were asking stupid questions, and also not just stupid questions, they're arguing with Prabhupada. And he had to raise his voice many times, especially so with Indians. Oh, you can watch this ISKCON and ISKCON. What is the difference? I think this was done by Nimanita Prabhu. Yeah, thank you very much. Does Krishna come in every Dwapar Yuga like Ramji come every Treta Yuga? And what about Mahaprabhu? No. Dwapar Yuga, Krishna comes once in 1000 Dwapar Yugas. One day of Brahma has 1000 cycles of the four yugas, and his night is also of the same duration. So basically, the time lapse is at 2000 cycles of the four yugas, is the time lapse between his each time that he comes. So effectively, 8.64 billion, not million, billion years. Every 8.64 billion years, Krishna comes personally. And when Krishna comes, that Dwapar Yuga, in that Kali Yuga, this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also comes. Only once in 8.64 billion years. And that happens to be like just like 500 plus years ago. How fortunate we are to be in this sampradaya. Thank you. I wasn't trying to tell you the facts. I just had asked Google how old the Vedas were. I appreciate you. You have great knowledge, and your ability to find scriptures is impressive. Thank you. So I'm sorry if I sounded argumentative. Not. But I was not actually arguing with you. I understand that you have taken these words from somewhere, some internet. But those people who date the Vedas to just like 3,500 years, they have purposefully done that to discredit the Vedas. How can you say that the Vedas are 3,500 years old when there is so much information in our Vedic scriptures where it is dating back millions and trillions of years? So they did not, obviously did not want to present the entire truth as it is. They have also studied the Bhagavad Gita, and Bhagavad Gita, this verse is there. So they don't really study things properly. And in the Bhagavatam, you can find the whole description of time, how long the universe exists, and how much time has elapsed since the beginning of creation. Everything is mentioned in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, 11th chapter, I think, 10th or 11th chapter, that like that. Let me see that chapter name. Calculation of time from the atom, third canto, 11th chapter. From the atom, atomic time scale to the cosmic time scale, everything, the entire measurement of time, and how old is our creation, and how long it is going to survive before it is destroyed, and how religious principles come in this cycles of the yugas. It's a huge science. Is there a way I can come and live with devotees there? I'm in the United States, and there isn't any places here where people take this seriously. Wow. You can. You're most welcome, actually. You can definitely come here to Singapore. And if you want to spend some time here, you can spend time in our ashram here, temple ashram, and experience life with the devotees here. If you have the time and means, you're always welcome. You can contact us at, I'll give my email address here. Okay, you can email to this address. I've just posted in the comment there. Admin at srikrishnamandir.org. So we will take it up from there. And we can also connect on WhatsApp after that. Okay. Thank you very much for your interest. Yeah, as Dimitri said, please attend our classes more and read Srila Prabhupada's books. Yeah, absolutely. Hare Krishna Gurudev. Well, I'm no guru. I'm just a student. So you're saying I'm a student. Please give your blessings to be success to go undergo Krishna consciousness in this life. Yeah. I mean, I don't have the wherewithal to bless anyone, but of course, my prayer will be there that he will be blessed by Srila Prabhupada and the Vaishnavas and Krishna himself. Um, Blessings are already there. We have to just take them seriously. So, like Prabhupada's books are already there. They are the actual blessings. But we don't take them seriously. Then who is to be blamed? You know. My humblest obeisance unto you, Prabhuji. All hail Bhagavan Sri Krishna Paramatma. Our Bharat country today is more at worst than ever. Manipur, heinous crimes. Heart wrenching. I've heard something about it. I haven't read it much about it. Something happened. I need to look at. I think something. The women were treated very badly or something. Heard something here and there, but I don't know the real news. Yeah, but actually, Amoglila Prabhuji said he will respect Vivekananda, but he actually exposed his dark thing. That's why he got banned. If he respects Vivekananda, that means he should be banned. For that, he should be banned. If he respects Vivekananda, we should not respect such rascals who are misleading others. Okay? That's the whole point here. We should not hate the. Of course, we don't hate the person, but we hate the sin that he is doing. That is something I should respect him. I should say that he is a rascal openly. That he misled the Hindus, and because of him, now today whole Sanatan Dharma is distorted. Much of Sanatan Dharma, they revere him so much. What is he? He doesn't even know many things. I will do a video, and I have to do that video. Yeah, I've been saying many things, but I want to do it and show. Hmm. Please associate with devotees by joining our Telegram. Yeah, this is a good avenue as well. Yeah, this is only for men though, not for women. Indians support Vivekananda because of his speech only, and rascals respect him for everything, even beef eating and being Hindu. And Amogli probably exposed that. That's why he's getting hate. So actually, I would take the hate of fools as a badge of honor. If fools hate me, then it's a badge of honor. I should be worried if Krishna hates me, or the great acharyas hate me, or Vaishnavas hate me. But if fools hate me, that is their job to hate devotees. So their job is to hate the truth. They want to live in falsehood. So let it be. Let it be. Amoglila Prabhu has officially apologized already, and people again glorify him because he apologized. Why should he apologize? He should not have apologized. Anyway, it's all messed up. That's why we shouldn't properly believe in modern scientists. Roji, your classes on these kind of niche topics are the best. Thank you so much for sparing a valuable time for us. Hare Krishna. I'm just spending this time to purify myself. I'm nobody. Roji, my university is full of meat eaters and named a block after Vivekananda. Hope bomb comes and blasts this place here. No, no, no. That's a bit of an extreme. That's not our route. That is idiotic terrorists who manipulate religion to do such things. So we should not. We should actually the word Vivekananda. Vivek means intelligence. Anand means bliss. We should make that block real Vivekananda, not that idiot. But with intelligence, if one's intelligence is sharpened by spiritual knowledge, then one will actually become blissful. So let us actually make it Vivekananda. He has no Vivek and he's not Ananda. And he put many other people in the path of Nirananda or misery. So that is not real Vivekananda. Vivekananda means real. So let us not hate the name. The person, yeah, I mean he's a rascal. But at least it should live up to the real meaning of the name. That Viveka we will get, I will show you this verse from Mukundamala Stotra, 36th verse. अन्धस्य मे हृतविवेकमहाधनस्य चौरैः प्रभो बलिभिरिन्द्रियनामधेयैः मोहान्धकूपकुहरे विनिपातितस्य देवेश देहि कृपणस्य करावलम्बम्. Viveka, discrimination, which is the activity of intelligence. O Lord, the powerful thieves of my senses have blinded me by stealing my most precious possession, my discrimination. Viveka. Mahadhanasya. See, Viveka Mahadhanasya. So, our great wealth is our Viveka, our sense of discrimination of what is right and what is wrong. And that can be, that great strength or treasure can be achieved if we are guided by spiritual truth of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Then we know what is what, and accordingly we can discriminate what is right, what is wrong, what is spiritual, what is material. We know this is Viveka. And when we employ our Viveka, then we'll actually attain Ananda. But in this material world, everybody has lost their sense of discrimination, which is why they are actually suffering. So Vivekananda, the real word, the real meaning of Vivekananda is this actually: to use our sense of discrimination and tread the right path of devotional service, knowing well what the other path is, so that we can actually distinguish it from the real path. And then we should know what our real path is. So we should not conflate the two. Oh, everything is okay. Oh, this is okay. That is okay. That is this yatama tatapat. Conflating everything. Ah, this is okay. That is okay. Everything is okay. Nonsense. So here, O Lord, the powerful thieves of my senses have blinded me by stealing my most precious possession, my discrimination, and they have thrown me deep into the pitch dark well of delusion. Please, O Lord of Lords, extend your hand and save this wretched soul. That is what it is. ISKCON is wrong at many places doesn't mean Ritwik's right. No, that's not what we said even. We did not say we are right just because ISKCON is wrong. Ritviks are misinterpreting Śrīla Prabhupada by concocting those three so-called proofs. Prabhupada was very clear in explaining all the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. We did not concoct anything. If you do not know, we have a series of Ritvik webinars. I don't know if I have a link to that. Okay, I have put the link there. You go and watch these 5 videos. Each is about almost 3 hours long. So yeah, it's quite intense. But after that, if you still say Ritvik is bogus, then I would ask you to prove to me how it is so. But you can understand after those 5 videos, the Ritvik system is the absolutely correct system instituted by Śrīla Prabhupada. And this voting in Guru system where Gurus are selected by votes, which is never anywhere in the Shastra, which is complete bogus nonsense. Half of the Gurus who have visibly fallen down, other half is subtly fallen down. So that is not any parampara. There's an insult to the whole parampara. So anyway, you go and watch those if you want to understand more. Otherwise, it's up to you. But you cannot prove that we are wrong. You may say whatever you want. So Prabhupada was not at all, never, he ambiguous at explaining things. Yeah, he was never ambiguous. He made it very clear. It's these ISKCON people. They think that, oh, Prabhupada was not clear here. No, he made it very, very clear. Particularly when the time when you're no longer with us, yeah, Ritvik. And then he followed up with the letter written. Henceforward, everybody has to be. And there was no order. Show me an order by Srila Prabhupada that you can become Guru, these 12 people can become Guru. Show me. They show, oh, everybody, all of my disciples should become Guru. That is his desire. He wanted, yes, but that is not his order. Why did he say, when I order you? In April 22nd, 1977, why did he say to Tamal Krishna? Tamal Krishna said to Prabhupada, I have studied myself and all my god brothers. None of them are qualified to be called a pure devotee or to become an acharya. Prabhupada said, yes, the training must be complete. So, April 22nd, 1977, they were not pure devotees. November 1977, they became pure devotees. 7 months, they became fully pure. Dhruv Maharaj. Huh? Please. And show me an order where Prabhupada said they can become gurus. Clearly. You said unequivocally, never ambiguous, right? Okay, show me then. All these same arguments again and again and again. According to your perspective, Srila Prabhupada changed whole Vaishnavism into some sort of New Age Christianity. How offensive it is to Srila Prabhupada. I humbly urge to retrospect on your opinions, Hare Krishna. You may say whatever you want, okay? And why are you coming here? This is not even the topic, first of all. This is not the platform to do this. And Prabhupada never changed anything. That's why you go through these 5 videos first. I have spoken everything that I wanted to speak and presented unequivocal evidence from Srila Prabhupada and his works. I think you should go through that and then let us have a conversation sometime else. Okay? How you remember all these verses? Practice listening over and over again, speaking, referring, studying. That's all. Oh, already watched that 15 hours of so much of twisting of facts and misinterpretations. Thank you. I doubt, first of all, you watched it. I don't know if you're telling the truth. And if you say there is twisting of facts and misinterpretations, then you're not honest. You're not a sincerely honest person. Because there is nothing there that you can say that it is twisting. In fact, you are twisting. Well, you are twisting. There's some rubbish arguments. That's all. He's watched 15 hours and understood nothing. Oh, Krishna. Exactly. That's exactly how I feel. 15 hours and you understood nothing. Spoke in plain English. Plain English. It's a shame. Don't want to argue here. I already left Ritvikism. Have been there for years. I have many counterproofs and many facts which Ritviks deliberately hide. Hare Krishna. Show me. You come and show me. Send me an email. I want to see what we hide. I dare. I dare anyone from ISKCON. This is how they destroy the parampara, distort the parampara teachings, and everything become distorted because of this. Anyway, um, he will send you bonfire. This is all twisting and turning. This is all just twisting and turning. Sorry for question of the topic. I finished with Bhagavatam. I'm going to read again. How to approach this time? You told we should just read it, but how to study now? Any tips? So you can read and see, okay, what are the things that are connecting the whole conversation. Like, for example, the first chapter, you will find the 6 questions which actually start off which fire up the entire conversation of the Bhagavatam. So the 6 questions. So then, how one by one all are answered, and when one thing leads to another. So the connection between them, you can form a structure like, okay, this from this verse to this verse is this, and like that you can see all the connections. If you want, you can read like that, and then you can find some series of nice verses and you can collect them and then start to memorize them. Yeah, this is how I would approach it. Please give email. Yeah, you have seen the email already. I have mentioned in the comment section, admin@srikrishnamandir.org. You go and write to that if you want. Anyway, if you did not understand from the 15 hours, I don't see much hope in you understanding anything. Out of 3 billion species, only humans accept the idea of God. Other animals don't even care, just carry on their life. You are quoting these things. I mean, come on. One who is now disciple is the next spiritual master. Yeah, that can be Siksha Guru. That's not entirely Diksha Guru. And yeah, it's not that today I'm a disciple, tomorrow I have to become spiritual master, Diksha Guru. No. I can teach Shiksha. And you have to be authorized. Why did Prabhupada say that all my god brothers, they are not authorized? Why? They are also disciples of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. They also should be qualified, right? Prabhupada said they are entirely, all of them are not qualified. Why? And what is the authorization? So, I mean, come on. There's nothing. Authorization being obedient to spiritual master, following the spiritual master as it is. Yeah, my dear, following the spiritual master. So following means where he ordered to him to become guru. That is also following. Not that he did not ask you to become. His desire is that everyone become guru, but it is you have to qualify. Anyway, these are all very cheap arguments. One who is following very strictly Prabhupada, he is authorized. No, that's not the only criterion. He must be a. What are you reading? Nectar of Instruction, first verse. Every sense he should be Goswami in the real sense of the term. He should be a pure devotee. Only then. Only an Uttama Adhikari. Nectar of Instruction, verse 5, purport. I mean, I've gone through this million times. It's very cheap arguments. Anyway, Hare Krishna, thank you very much. And you have come upon this art this session, and the topic is totally different, and you intervene and come up with this, you know, again the same arguments. This is actually not even ethical properly. You don't even know how to conduct yourself. This session is about a Moulvi, an Islamic scholar speaking to Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, and if you have questions regarding that, ask. Why do you twist the direction of the topic somewhere else? Actually, I don't want to entertain this kind of nonsense arguments here. So please keep to the topic. Otherwise, if you're not interested, you're free to go. Yeah? Hare Krishna. श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री भक्तिसिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद, हरि हरि बोल, हरे कृष्ण.